we go. Welcome back to Bad Movies Rule, the worst movie podcast ever recorded. And we're appreciative that you're here today. Jump in your jet car, bring your oscillator, because we're driving through a mountain to go see the adventures of Buckaroo Bonzai across the 8th dimension. Let's go.
It's not even a car. It's a truck. It's like a Ford F-350.
Yeah. Was it even a 350?
Maybe two.
It was a 1982 Ford F-350.
It was a 350?
Yes.
Wow. They
Nice.
were tiny back then.
It was like, oh, this jet car, we must steal his secrets. He's got to sell this to the government. I'm like, literally put a jet engine in the back, in the bed of the F-350.
back of a truck.
And you're good, government.
I was waiting for Batman to jump in and be like, turbines to power, batteries, or batteries to power, turbines to speed. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it had a Batman flavor towards the jet.
It did. Well, good morning, guys. Thank you for coming in today. I'm excited because we've got a couple people here that have done a lot of episodes but have never done an episode together. So this morning we have Mr. Curt Mummer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. What's your alien name?
My alien name?
John.
It's John Whiptalk.
John Whiptalk. Okay, fair enough. And joining us also this morning is Mr. Charles Huyett for the first
glad to be
time
here.
with Curt Mummer.
Yes, I'm excited.
What's your alien name?
John Big Berries.
Perfect. And then for the second time ever, we have him back from the Deep Blue Sea episode. Mr. Ryan Farrell's with us this morning. Ryan, how are you, and what's your alien name?
I am fantastic.
Good.
And you can just call me John.
Just John?
The John.
John. All right. So we've got John Whiptalk, John Big Berries, John Nothing, and then
Correct.
My name is James Hauser.
What's your alien name?
John Clackett.
John Clackett?
John Clackett.
Good old John Clackett.
I just left the house and there was one of those things that like go like this and it clacks together. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
It's a clacker. I don't know what that thing's called.
Why'd you have that in your house?
I don't know. This is why, but that was the first thing that came to my brain. That's what happens when we do episodes so early in the morning.
Yeah, it is pretty early. Saturday, too.
Yeah.
Honestly. Well, look, guys, we are very excited to do Buckaroo Bonzai across the 8th dimension today. We're going to get into it in a little bit here. We're going to find out. I don't know if any of you had ever seen it before. I hadn't. Before we get into the movie, if you guys could do me a huge favor, if you could pause the show on whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything in between, if you could go in and give the show a rating, preferably 5 stars. If it's anything less than that, send us an email, okay? If you want to give the show a bad review, we recognize the movie. We recognize the show is trash, but we'd like to read those bad reviews on the show. But if you give us a 5-star rating on the app, it helps push it out to more people, so we would greatly appreciate that. Also, just want to make you aware that we've got some Bad Movies Rule merch that's now available. Yeah. So if you would like to, which we have Mr. Curtis rocking.
I saw that as soon as I came in. That's
the
awesome.
hoodie today.
The hoodie.
Head over to TeePublic. That's TeePublic, tpublic.com. Search Bad Movies Rule, and you can get some
I'm gonna
swag.
make a note of that right now.
You're such a good speller.
Let's get into this movie, guys.
Let's do it.
Before we go too
dig
far,
deep.
I want to know.
This was a movie?
It was. I hope you watched it, or it's going to make this really difficult. I thought it was just a trailer on YouTube that we were going to talk about
Sorry,
today.
people come in here and don't watch the movies?
That's happened a couple times.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
how can that?
That's happened a couple times. I go, wow, that person was really quiet this episode. Find out after they didn't watch it.
I watched it.
Okay.
Crazy.
Beginning to end, I did take 3-day break in the middle, but
So I want to hear your general. That's fine. That's warranted.
you could help me with some continuity issues that came up for me because of that.
Which we will. But I want to hear your general impressions because I don't know if this was anybody's first time or anybody's.
Yes, first time.
It was at everybody's first time, I guess, what I want to find out. So Charles, what did you think of the film?
That's pretty much it. Okay, so do you want my actual answer?
Yeah, I mean, just whatever you.
The first, quarter of the film, third, I don't know, I'm not very good at math. I was like, what is going on? And why is everyone dressed so colorfully?
That seems to be a common theme amongst these movies we watch.
Who are these
What
people?
is going on?
How is he doing brain surgery, singing? he's like a ninja. Who are all these people around him?
Yeah.
I was very excited the Highlander guy was in it.
Oh, yeah. Clancy Brown.
Rawhide was cool.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this cast, and I'm going, this is amazing, but I don't know what's going on. In fact, I was just looking at my notes. Most of them are questions.
Okay, well, that's perfect. I'm going to try and answer almost none of them
But
today.
at the end, I have a more profound take.
Good.
You want it now.
No, I want to save. That's called the tease, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to keep him hooked all the way to the 5 minutes in. Maybe we'll see. Ryan Farrell, was this your first time ever seeing it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
First of all, who picked this movie?
This was actually a suggestion from a listener named Joe Palumbo.
Joe Palumbo.
Thank
Yes.
you, Joe, for expanding our horizons.
Joe is
to
somebody
another
that
dimension.
we knew from our previous life. Do you want the person's phone number? Are you angry with them? You want to call them?
No, I'm going to say this to Joe Palumbo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh.
Oh,
What
nice.
an interesting thing. I mean, I'll tell you this. I've never even heard of this movie.
Yeah.
But after watching it and then seeing how certain filmmakers throw in references to Buckaroo Bonzai, and I was like, oh, because like Ready Player One, for
Sure.
example.
Yeah.
I loved Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And that was a fantastic movie.
Ditto.
And the one scene when he's like, oh, I got to think for Buckaroo Bonzai. Never thought anything of it.
So it's like a puzzle piece has clicked into place
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Good.
Or like the reference that Wes Anderson did in Life Aquatic. I was like,
Wait, what's that? Because I love Life Aquatic. I must have missed
the
it.
very ending. He paralleled the ending with like the power walking.
In the aqueduct.
Oh.
Yeah, in the aqueduct.
I'll
Yeah.
have to go back. And
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, no way. Like, there's actually like Steven Spielberg and Wes Anderson, who are Academy Award winning, renowned filmmakers.
They were influenced by this?
They're influenced by Buckaroo Banzai? Okay.
All right.
I'm down with that.
Maybe I need to go watch it again. I think I must have missed something.
Yeah.
What about you, Curt?
Me?
Yeah. Have you seen it before?
I have not.
Oh, everybody,
us have
first
seen it.
timer.
All right.
So-
0 for 4.
We didn't get one
Buckaroo.
super fan
This
in
is
here.
great.
We're Buckaroo virgins.
So here's the thing.
guess not
I
anymore.
love comic books.
Yeah.
And I know this was a comic book from Marvel for a while.
Oh, so this was okay.
Wait, it wasn't though. It was after the fact.
Right, but
Yes.
this was after the movie, but because I've never seen it.
Right. I want to clear up that it's not
therefore,
based
Marvel
on a
didn't-
comic
No,
book.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, Marvel made a comic book on
After.
Buckaroo
Based on the
this
movie.
Yeah.
Right.
On this, someone saw
Yes.
this and said we should do a comic book.
Yeah, Marvel did.
Yeah.
But here
That's
was
the bad days of Marvel.
here's the thing though, like they were planning, I think, on putting it into like the whole
Oh,
Norva.
praise God, they did not. There are mercies. If you need evidence of God's goodness in the world, it's that Buckaroo Bonzai did not show up in Endgame.
So
Go ahead,
anyway,
Curt.
so the Nova Corps was based into this somewhere along the lines. But anyway,
Yeah.
my whole point was I totally dropped where I was going now.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So I love this movie.
Really?
I do.
Wow.
So, and here's why. Not only do you have the all-star cast of Robocop, you got Dr. Malcolm, you got Lord Farquaad, you got Doc Brown, you got Mr. Krabs,
You do.
and you got the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis, in this movie, which unfortunately,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
she was cut.
She's in a deleted scene as Buckaroo Banzai's mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That would have made me love the movie.
That would have
you
put
just
it up.
needed one more amazing actor to
There-
make it work. for
And
me.
there it is.
There
and,
it is.
And there was a whole alternative beginning to this movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I deep dove into it and I found it and I was
Okay.
like, I wish I started the movie this way
Yeah.
instead of the way it went.
Yeah, I
Would
can
it have
see
helped
that. I
me
can agree with that.
understand what was happening earlier on?
Yes, they
No.
actually explain a lot more in the alternative opening than they did
Okay.
in the actual movie itself. Because you had to read.
Yeah.
Did you see that big
Yeah,
paragraph?
yeah.
That was. So you had to
Yeah.
read into all that.
Well, here's the-
whereas they actually on the alternative opening
Yeah.
actually explained all of it.
This is what I would call for me, and I also have never seen the movie. Okay, but this is what I would classify as a left field movie.
Yes.
Right? There are so many like WTF moments as I was watching this, and yeah, I probably had more questions than anything, and it wasn't from a filmmaking standpoint, and I'll kind of wait as we go through it to dig into the rest because I haven't made up my mind yet if I liked it or not. It wasn't shot very well. I think they replaced the DP halfway through. The guy that I can't remember his name now was like the Blade Runner director of photography was shooting this movie.
Really?
Yeah, like until halfway through and they replaced him.
Yeah, that was Jeff Cronenweth.
Thank you. Thank you. And apparently they weren't thrilled with the guy. It was like against the wishes of the crew. And the guy that came in just was a lot more flat and colorful, and it was just not as good.
I read about that. Explain that to me from a movie making perspective. Like the idea of the Blade Runner guy and like depth and
Yeah, well, so the director of photography is the guy that basically is in charge of, the director sets the shot. This is what I want the shot to be from this angle, from wherever. The DP, lights the frame, makes it look good. They're the director of photography, right? You want to call them the cinematographer, whatever. Okay. And there's all kinds of different words that are used to describe these guys. And whatever happens, sometimes, you get to working with somebody. Sometimes the DP and the director don't see eye to eye. We should shoot it like this. No, it should be lit like that, right? And there's unfortunately no information as to why they got replaced. But about halfway through, they fired him.
So some scenes are going to be from the first guy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can you tell that, you think, when you watch
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like the guy.
Difference, you think?
Well, in this case, it's how it's lit to be depth. The second guy that came in, it was very almost like a flat, kind of a TV movie look to it. And,
yes.
And the other guy came, for instance, the guy from Blade Runner. I already forgot his name again. You just said it.
It was Jordan.
Jordan
Cronenweth. Jeff is his son.
Okay.
Who's also a cinematographer.
Jordan shot the club scene where they were, the band was coming in and playing. It just looked much more cinematic.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Right?
Okay. That makes a lot of sense now, actually.
I can see the difference there. So, okay, I get what you're saying.
So it wasn't shot very well. And the director recently said in an interview that they should have had more coverage. He was a first-time director. There wasn't a lot for the editor to work with. There was too many master shots and two shots where they couldn't really cut or go to anything, which would have tightened it up. And so he just didn't shoot enough footage. Oh. And so it kind of hurts the flow of the movie.
Do you know, did he mention if it was a budget or a time constraint thing with that?
He said it was more of just a lack of skill on his part as a first time director.
Because I can definitely see that. His name was what? W.D.
Richter.
Richter, right? Yeah. Who was a screenwriter before this.
More well known for. He's got 2 directing credits to his name. He only did one other movie after this.
He has 2 directing credits for his name. Yet he's been nominated for an Oscar for screenwriting. So.
Right. So we'll just dive into the vitals, right? Because as we just said, W.D. Richter directed this. The only other movie he directed was Late for Dinner in 1991. But he wrote Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes.
The guy that directed this movie after
Buckaroo Bonzai.
Which is also a left field movie that works.
Right. But that's taking a director who knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
And taking the left field content.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
W.D. Richter.
Yeah.
Yeah. One knows what they're doing for sure.
So you could the left field content, as you're calling it, is in the right hands. Yeah.
Yeah. It was written by Earl Mac Rausch, and this guy probably wrote about 4 or 5 movies. So his most well-known thing besides this was New York, which he wrote for Scorsese. Movie starred Peter Weller, as you said, RoboCop, John Lithgow, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd, and Lewis Smith, who I wanted to throw in there because I really liked him back in the day. Hasn't done a ton of stuff since, but Lewis Smith is great. He was Perfect Tommy, the guy,
Perfect Tommy.
the blonde, bleach blonde haired guy. Budget of $17 million on this movie, and it only made 6. Oof. That's not going to get it done.
No.
That's why we never saw Buckaroo Bonzai Crime League.
This put the studio into bankruptcy.
Oh, nice.
This specific film.
Oh, yeah, because that studio that produced it was a very small niche production company back in the...
Which is why not only the sequel never happened, but there was so much legal red tape, they couldn't even get this onto DVD. It took forever for them to be able to release it on DVD.
Oh, wow.
Just to get the legal wrangling and cut through all that red tape to get that done.
Well, maybe we can help them now.
Our
review, get it out there again. Can I tell you an interesting story about this movie? So my daughter had a science fair last night, which was fun. But it also sort of was funny that there's like this crazy science in this movie, and here's these kids doing science. Which is probably better science than it's actually in the movie. Even though it's like, if you're heavy, how deep will you sink in the sand? Like, come on, who let that pass as a science experiment?
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. I'm sitting there with one of the moms. I went to ice cream after, and I said, I'm doing a podcast tomorrow morning. I got to go home and watch the rest of the movie. And I said, I'm watching this movie called The Adventures of Buckaroo Bonzai. And she turned her head back and laughed. She said, we had cable for 1 year, and we watched this movie. I said, I'm like, are you crazy? This is the one movie. This is why you stopped having cable after, I'm sure, is you watched this and you're like, this is all that's on the television? Why am I going to have it anymore?
We got to cancel this immediately.
I thought that was super odd that this movie, this mom.
This is what everyone's talking about. This cable.
This is cable?
This is cable?
Get them on the phone.
Cancel my subscription.
The movie's sitting at a 6.4 on IMDb.
I was shocked that it was that high.
I've got a theory on this, which I'll go into in a second. It's also a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
And a 69%, almost identical audience score. So it's fresh. It's just under our threshold of 6.5 on IMDb, and it's fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Not
This
certified fresh. Just got the plump
Yeah,
tomato.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is revisionist. It's revisionist history.
Difference. Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's revisionist history. I think with some of these movies, by the time we get to them now, 30 years later, all of the fans of the movie have taken over. It's like most of these reviews were in the last 10 years.
Right. They're
Okay.
cult classic.
Right. All the audience score, I'm assuming, is from its fan. Like if you like this movie, you're going on there to pump it up online, right? And I was looking at Tremors in the same way.
Now, Tremors is a good movie. I'll fight you for it.
Okay, but is it though?
Yes.
Because it definitely is not should not be rated what it is. Okay.
What, Tremors?
Tremors.
is awesome.
Yeah. And the reviews of Tremors, the audience score of Tremors, the IMDb score, which is also user driven, of Tremors is ridiculously high. At the time that these movies came out, this movie, lots of the movies we've talked about, Tremors, there's no way it was this well rated. That is such a B movie. I don't hate Tremors.
Yeah.
But to say that it's a 7.0 or it's, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever is ridiculous.
So this fits into my final conclusion. So remind me of that when we get to
yeah, I will. I think that a lot of these ratings, I would have liked to have seen what it had been if it had been rated when it came out, when it bombed.
Like the
original time.
That is an interesting
Ebert.
thing.
That's all I'm saying.
Robert, what was his name? Ebert?
Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert's original
Yeah.
take.
But like, what's your take on Independence Day?
Independence Day is a bad movie. It's a B movie. It's a high budget B movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
And
but
it was great even in 1996.
I mean, I enjoy. Yeah, but it's a 17-year-old or 16-year-old or whatever I saw. I mean, I went and saw it and I liked it.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch just things like how we're talking about the evolution of scores. Like that movie, for example, when I first started using IMDb, which was probably in 2001.
Right.
That movie used to have a 5.8.
I'm sure.
And now it has like a 7.2.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So it's like, as I sit here now, I go, I don't think this is a 6.4 movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fans have pumped it up. The fans of the movie is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but let's dive in, guys. Let's talk about this
do it.
thing because there's so much. I've got pages of questions.
Oh, wow.
Charles has questions.
That's a long, you got 3 sheets.
I know, I'm a
there.
three
I can
sheeter.
scroll this for a long time.
Which is probably only the second time I've had a 3-sheeter on here.
Really?
I'm
Yeah.
a 3-sheeter, but that's
that
only because I had
includes-
tacos the night before.
All right, but you brought it up before. The opening
Yes.
crawl. So the thing starts off, and every time I see that, I go, oh no.
Yes.
Like that, they only do that when they want to clear up confusion. When it's clear that the movie is not clear, what's like we got
Yes.
to clear up
Is that
confusion
true
of
Star
this.
Wars too? Then?
I was just going to say.
I don't know.
So
Star Wars had to set a big table too.
Yeah.
You jump right into that if you don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. You're gonna
Yeah.
Well, when you're jumping in the middle of a series,
right.
you gotta
But
at
this,
least tell some sort of stories before that.
the point is
but it wasn't.
it's supposed to clear up confusion, but it did. The title crawl in this did the opposite of
Yeah,
that.
I didn't understand it.
It muddied the water even more. I'm like, who is it? What is happening? Dimensions?
Yep.
Like, yeah, it was like, it was crazy. All right, so let's talk about, just before we even get it, the character himself. He's Buckaroo Bonzai. He's a doctor. He's a brain surgeon.
He's a physicist.
He's a scientist, but he's also a rock star
Yes.
and a samurai.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And he can ride motorcycles.
He's got a literal team of people on his payroll
Yep.
Yes.
called the Hong Kong Cavaliers.
Who are also
So
armed security, apparently.
Yeah,
Yes.
they all carry guns. They're high. Yeah.
And they're hunting aliens. I mean, am I missing anything?
But
This guy,
did they know they were hunting aliens originally?
No.
I think Buckaroo
I
did.
didn't feel that way.
No.
I feel like what they were doing was basically learning how to,
Go into the
as a
empty space
physicist.
of the table.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically going through matter.
Right.
And that's what they were trying to do is make a physical human being
Right.
go through matter.
Okay.
But it was
And
the
then
same
when
doctor.
they were going through there,
true.
they found out that there were
right.
aliens, right,
I think Buckaroo
hiding
knew
inside there.
because Dr. Hakima
Yeah.
Worked
was
with his
obviously
dad.
the original doctor from 1938
With
who
Lizardo.
then with Lizardo.
Well, he was friends with his dad, right?
Yeah. So then when
you may make a good point. He
Yeah.
probably knew something
Buckaroo
about it, but
had to
didn't
know.
tell anybody.
Yeah.
Here's the first
Yeah.
major problem: is we don't know who knows what.
Right.
And as
I
the
know that I
audience-
know almost nothing.
As the audience, I'm completely
He knows that you
lost.
know that I know.
The movie knew that we
And-
didn't know because
well,
it put the text crawl up there.
Well, and
yeah.
the people that are running the experiment, which is what, some sort of speed experiment, don't know
something.
what's going on because he zigs, which has got to be the greatest controlled turn in the history of the world, going like Mach 1. He can actually turn.
Right.
Right, he clearly had a
500 miles an
secondary.
hour, right.
There was a secondary
And the military
mission
people
that they
like,
didn't
what's
know
happening? And then he's
Right.
like, we know what's happening. We're gonna go.
Admittedly, it was not very well written right there.
No.
But well, like when he makes the turn and then the Secretary of Defense is like, he's breaking the sound barrier, but yet the helicopter's still
yes,
keeping up with it. And it's like,
man, that's,
that's a really fast
yeah, I think the guy
helicopter.
says
Yeah.
he's pulling away from us. Well, no,
Right.
duh, he's pulling
Yeah.
away. From
Buckaroo
you. He's
probably
going
already-
800 miles an hour.
about. He probably also
Yeah.
created that helicopter too.
Yeah.
because he's also a helicopter mechanic. I don't know if you knew that about him.
I'm sure he does a little bit of everything.
He's a helicopter scientist.
I'll bet he gives a damn good back rub.
He's stuck. We also in the middle of the beginning. He's stuck in surgery, like while they're all setting up this rocket.
Oh gosh, one of my
Yeah, he's
right off the bat, one of the funniest lines
Which was what?
when he's doing. So he's a neurosurgeon, right?
Right.
Jeff Goldblum is also a neurosurgeon,
He's helping
and they're
Goldblum out.
Yeah.
Goldblum's going through the
New
actual
Jersey.
anatomy of the place, and then you hear Buckaroo say, "No, no, no! Don't tug on that. You never know where it leads." And it's like, hold on,
Good line.
you're a neurosurgeon, but
Right.
you don't know
Well,
where
unless
that
it's
nerve
sarcasm.
goes.
Oh, I've never seen this
Who
before.
knows?
Don't touch that.
Don't touch
That
that.
was a good
Don't touch
line.
that. You never know where it goes.
And then he offers him a job.
Yeah.
New Jersey
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Who we later find out likes to dress in
Yes.
highly
Oh my
common
gosh.
cowboy clothes.
Yeah, cowboy calculus.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to try and understand more on this team of people. He's got Clancy Brown on his team. He's got Lewis Smith. He's got Jeff Goldblum, who seemed thrilled when he was asked to join the team.
Yes.
Is Buckaroo the most famous person on the planet?
Yes.
Well, clearly the president calls him.
Yeah.
Right. This is what I'm saying. So
yeah.
the fact that he offered him a spot in the Hong Kong Cavaliers was a huge deal
Yeah.
Yes.
because he seemed very excited, and I'm like,
Well, and I love that it kind of led on like he was asking him to be a part of his team
Yeah.
for like the neurosurgeons, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Well, can you sing?" He goes, "Well,
Yeah.
no, but I can dance." You know,
right. Which again, coming into this movie clean, you don't think. I mean, maybe they mentioned in the crawl that he's a musician, but it's like, why does that matter?
he does. Yeah,
It
they
does.
do.
It says
Okay.
Rockstar, I
Yeah.
believe.
I must
Later,
have missed that.
Goldblum's playing the piano.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
We never see him dance.
He veers off in his jet truck that's flying at 500 miles an hour down, through the desert. And you're right, perfectly controlled turn going in insane speed. And he drives through a mountain, like almost like Back to the Future style. There's some sparks and you go, poof, and he just kind
I
of,
totally thought of flex
Yeah.
capacitor.
Yeah.
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 And then there's like, all of a sudden there's like blue aliens like going across his windshield and
Yeah.
stuff. And just like,
I didn't get they were aliens. My note was, why is there a naked man in the picture in the middle of the mountain?
we find out later that the world exists parallel to our own. So like literally right now we could be in some alien's kitchen, like while we're sitting here doing this podcast, right?
Speaking of kitchen, Buckaroo Bonzai was also a host of a giant chef
Is he?
show.
He's also a 5-star chef.
Yeah, he's a
Really?
5-star chef. Yeah,
He's a 5-star
he's got
chef.
his own line of restaurants.
Perfect.
Yeah,
They just didn't get to that
Gordon
part.
Ramsay's based on him.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Nice.
But so imagine then, think of it from the alien's perspective. All of a sudden, this jet car. What if that was just some dude that was just out there raking his alien leaves?
Yeah,
Right. It's just on the windshield, and he's like, "What the
this
heck?"
Mad Max car. And he's just, oh, what is going on?
That's what it seemed like. The guy in that windshield was very surprised.
Yeah, and he just window wipers are just wiping them
That's
off.
what I'm saying. And then he comes through on the other side, and you're like, "What?" Again, this is my first WTF moment
Yeah.
of the movie. I'm
He
like,
gets up, he brushes himself off. His wife's like, "Did you just see that? What happened?"
I like the electronuclear carburation.
Yeah.
What is that?
The
That's how
scientific
that's how
terms
the
that they're
car
throwing
ran.
around are great.
"Oh, the mumbo
That's how-
scientific
that's how
mumbo
the car
jumbo."
ran
Yep,
or
yep.
something was electronuclear carburation.
He did find like a juicy alien coconut.
Yeah, what was
Like-
that? I hope that wasn't that. I hope that wasn't
Well, and
that
I love
aliens.
if you listen to the jarble that's coming on the radio. They're
Yeah.
like, "There's a substance on the windshield."
Oh,
Check,
yeah.
please
Yeah.
check to see if
Check
that
that,
is
yeah.
true on the windshield. There's also something on the drivetrain. Can you go ahead and
Can you
check that
check
out?
that?
And he's like, underneath there, oil leak. Oh,
that-
there
Well,
it is.
that's how you knew it was a Ford.
I
So
heard
that
your
was all on the
juicy
radio?
coconut.
You were hearing that on the
Oh,
background
yeah.
chatter?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
heard
that's all
none
in
of
there.
that.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
But
on
I'm
there.
glad you did.
No,
'cause-
I heard
yeah.
that too. Yeah. I hope that wasn't that aliens like testicles.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it
No
was
wonder
funny.
they
why
taste-
he's small berries now.
That's small berries.
I looked up what kind of car it was, and I saw that it was an old '82 Ford F350, and then I was like, "Oh, well, that makes sense why it was leaking immediately after." Right? And I just like the realism they threw that in the movie.
I did like the reflection on the visor. I thought that was kind of cool.
No, that was cool.
for an effect for the 80s.
And I did like his line as right before he drove through the mountains, like, "That's a big no can do."
I was just going to say that one. That was the second one. Buckaroo, you got to eject. That's a big no can do.
And then I think
Love it.
that's the first time you hear a swear too, because he drives through the mountain and the guy's like, "Holy shit!" You know,
He drove through a mountain.
That's right. Yeah. So
It's also clearly not Texas.
no, it's not.
It's like the Salt Flats in California or the big open.
well, it's based in New Jersey, isn't it? Isn't that
I don't
where?
know.
Because that's the whole reason they call.
Here's the
what's
problem:
his
is we
name,
don't know
Jersey.
really where,
No,
when, or
that's-
how.
That's a great joke
That-
later on.
That is
Gonna be a
where
race war in
John
New Jersey?
Lithgow is. Yeah.
So
right.
let's get into that because that's the next scene is we get to meet John Lithgow's character. This is Dr. Lizardo, and he's at the loony bin, although it's not immediately clear where he is. He's watching the television report of, what this big science breakthrough that, he drove through a mountain and all that, and he starts getting upset because this is something that apparently he had done many, many years ago. And so what is the machine that he hooks up to his tongue?
Like a memory jogger.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that an actual time machine?
Flashback machine.
Or does it just activate
Or
flashbacks?
maybe he's got that condition like I might have.
I
where
think
you
he's
can't
just
picture
electrocuting
stuff.
himself.
Is that all it is?
Well, okay, so he has one of the oscillating overthrusters at the, and why is he allowed to have one of the overthrusters with him at an institute for the criminally insane?
He had a lot of stuff with him.
Well, I don't think anyone knew what it was.
his whole apartment is there with him.
I'm sure.
Because everyone thinks he's a kook. So I
Right,
think
so
that
he's just
leads
like,
on,
"Oh, this is my
crazy
overthruster."
science guy.
And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, doc. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what he hooks himself up to his own overthruster and then has
But I
the.
thought he couldn't make the overthruster work.
Flashback.
He was looking for parts for it.
Well, he was looking for it to make it work to where he can pass through fully.
Okay.
right.
Right.
But
right.
I think what he was doing was because every time he did that, he wrote something down. And if you notice, there was multiple writings on the wall.
Yes.
So I think what
Yeah.
it does is he goes back into that memory and sees something new each time and then goes,
maybe that's right.
because if you remember when Buckaroo gets shocked through the payphone, all of a sudden he's like, starts writing stuff on his hand. So I think every time you go into that world,
Yeah.
whatever that is, that
the eighth
space
dimension.
time continuum, whatever, like they have some sort of info that
Right,
they have to
right.
write down.
The other
Yes.
funny part to me in that scene is the orderly comes in, who's a very famous actor now.
Jonathan Banks.
right, John
Breaking
Banks.
Bad. Yep.
Yep.
He comes in, he's like, "You're using too much energy, so we're going to take the TV, not taking all the electronic devices that are laying around the room."
Leave him-
Like,
you get to keep your
how
tongue
many
zapper.
Other
Yeah.
crazy people have TVs, but they're not using.
Yeah.
this
I love
much
that he keeps it in a
electricity.
paper bag too. That is like all this delicate equipment,
So-
and he's like,
For the people that are listening that haven't seen the movie, what he does is it flashes back to him when he was a legitimate scientist, along with the doctor
was
who
never legit.
was now a doctor with Buckaroo Bonzai,
Dr. Hakima.
Akima.
Yeah.
and
And
they are
Bonzai's
testing.
dad and mom or dad.
Yeah, and they're testing this idea of going into another parallel dimension, which is what he just did when he drove through the mountain. And they kind of don't have it plumbed just right, and he only ends up like halfway, gets stuck like into a hole.
Yeah.
And so the top
That's
half
pretty
of his body like landed on I don't know, in the middle of an alien poker game or something, because there's like all of these guys around him like, "Yo, get the frick out of here." Like, just imagine you're sitting there playing poker with your alien friends, and somebody's got an alien straight flush,
Yeah, like
right?
a
And you're
dude
about
just
to
came
do it, and
halfway
it's
through the
just
wall
like,
here.
Yeah.
right.
And he pops out.
He just pops out, and there's just 5 dudes already right there punching him in the face. So did he absorb one of the aliens?
Yes, he had to have.
Or at least
'Cause that's
part
not-
of their
Or
power.
did he
That's
just
not
go
something that
crazy?
happens again in the entire movie.
No,
They're
and
independent beings.
This was like this was one of the first big WTF things.
Yeah.
Is So Lazario, because throughout the movie he calls himself John Warfin.
Right.
So he somehow absorbed John Warfin.
Yeah.
So Dr. Lazaro
Gotcha.
became a vessel for Warfin, but yeah, like you said, when the other what are they called?
Electroids.
Electroids, yeah.
Yeah.
When the other electroids come through, they are obviously fully
Independent.
independent operating
so
beings.
And that scene, so this is good. This is clarifying. In that scene, he gets halfway through their universe.
Yeah.
John Warfin hops in his body and comes out.
Because when he comes out, he's all crazy and different.
He was different. And then when that lady does her thing later on, she says he's escaped. Is that how he escaped, you think?
Yeah, so apparently, well, we'll get to that. But yes, I think that's true.
I mean, as one of those things where obviously his appearance changes too, where before he jumps in the roller coaster car to crash into the wall, he's got the
Clean
dark
cut, yeah.
he's clean cut, has the
I
dark
love
black
that
hair.
whole scene too. Because Dr. What did we say his name was?
Dr.
Hikima. He's like, no, don't go. Wait.
Right.
Yeah. And then he's like, no, I'm doing this. And he's like, no, I'm not ready.
It was almost like the time cop method of traveling to another dimension too. I liked it, just hurling yourself towards the wall until you go through.
Yeah.
It's great. After this, we go to the club, okay? And so we get another taste of Buckaroo Bonzai's, he's a Renaissance man of many skills, as you mentioned.
This is
a 5-star chef.
Sorry.
He's a 5-star chef. He's a samurai. He's a doctor. He's all of these things. And now we find out that he's a rock star, right?
Yeah. The Hong Kong Cavaliers
and the Hong Kong Cavaliers are his band.
Yeah. I mean, and as he's walking to the stage, they cut a scene. He had to stop and facilitate a loan closing because he's also, a loan officer.
Oh my gosh, they should have left that in there.
He loves the hours, right?
They
the benefits are good. But this is the most 80s jam band of all time.
The double saxophone.
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk about that guy? The dude had... And it was an afro, but it was also a mullet at the same time. Yeah. And he's playing 2 saxophones at the same time with an afro mullet.
Yeah.
And he's a white guy.
Nope, totally.
And it's awesome.
Yep.
My favorite character in the movie.
I was completely confused in the concert scene.
Very good.
Why were you confused?
Well, in the middle of it, he has a counseling session.
Well, because he's an empath, and so through the rock music, he's able to sense that a hot woman was crying somewhere in the room.
Yes.
Like, hold on. I smell female tears.
Something like that.
Yeah, and the way he just stops, he's in the middle of like a big old trumpet solo.
Yeah.
And he's like, hold on.
Is somebody crying?
Well, and what a nice guy. Hey, can we get a spotlight on this poor woman?
I know. I thought that too.
Do you mind just showing her sorrows to everybody?
I do like how the rest of the band is like, this is dumb. What are we doing?
What did he say to the band? He was going to do something, and they're like, really? We're doing that?
Yeah.
The guy's like, huh? What?
We're gonna give her a mic. Tommy, run her a mic.
Oh, yeah, give her a mic. He's like, really?
He's like, what are we doing?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And then
I will say,
maybe
I know you
the
were
greatest
confused.
line in the movie.
Yes.
Oh yes, it is the most enduring line, I believe.
You don't have to be mean.
Because wherever you go.
Because
wherever you go,
there you are.
There you are.
Yeah.
And then let's go ahead and get into this sad song.
We can wipe Counselor off of Buckaroo Bonzai's list of capabilities.
Yes.
He's
Therapy
not
session.
a good therapist.
I think he's not a good therapist, but now we can add philosopher.
A
Yes.
philosopher, well, a copycat philosopher.
You will never, ever convince me that Jeff Goldblum didn't write that line. That is the most Jeff Goldblum line of all time. Because, wherever you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you are.
Yeah.
Right?
And then he picks her up. He's like, you remind me of someone, and I'm in love with you now.
No, he doesn't pick her up. She's so horrified by the music. It's like, I thought of the movie Airplane.
Is it a fact that he's an empath?
Well, I don't know. I just said that.
Okay. I didn't know if that was something that maybe I missed.
No.
I
I
was
just
surprised
making
when
a
he said
joke.
that, too.
I love the line too, the Billy Idol guy. He goes, well, this is weird.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you guys see the movie Airplane, right? I mean, every time that guy tells a story, somebody tries to kill themselves. I think this is like that, but with his music.
Yes.
Like every time he plays music,
She's got a guy. She's gonna kill
she holds the gun up to her
I'm like, cool.
own hand.
Yeah, and then
her own head.
then like a waitress walks by and smacks her elbow, and she just fires into the air.
Right, and so
then I love that everybody has guns.
Yes.
The whole band.
It's
The
like,
whole
shoot,
band.
shoot, shoot.
Whoa.
Double sax guy pulls one out of the saxophone.
That's the first time we learned
The other sax is a gun.
He's just waving the saxophone. Like
time we learned
The
they're all
drummer
heavily
stands up
armed,
with an
right?
Uzi.
Yeah.
The whole band drew down.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden you realize they're all packing.
Yes.
They're like ready to.
Yeah.
Which is what made me ask the question in general, if this is the most well-known, famous group of people in the world, because they're all just allowed to just fire guns and carry guns without, like, operate with impunity, basically, everywhere they go.
Well,
Yes.
he is like a superhero. Right?
Yes.
I
But
guess.
you don't really get that from the beginning of the movie. At
You
the
don't
time
get
I
that.
realized that
You don't
he
get
was,
that from any part of the movie.
No, the only part I realized when he stole the motorcycle and they go, "Oh, it's Buckaroo Bonzai." Like they would know that was him unless he was like prior famous.
Right.
No, but after he works the dinner shift at his 5-star restaurant, he goes over to the jail where she's been thrown in jail because everyone thinks she tried to shoot the place up, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is when they meet, what's his name there, to pick him up for the band session.
Right.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum is standing outside.
Yeah, meet us up at the jail, and he's dressed like Cowboy Calculus.
Yeah, and his goes by New Jersey is his nickname.
That's what they call him,
Yeah.
And he doesn't know anybody in the band. He's trying to like, hey, you're such and such. And they're like, no.
And it's amazing, even that early in his career, he was still very Jeff Goldblum-y.
Yeah, well, I think that's what makes him him.
Well,
Has he
I think
ever
you
done-
realize that's just how he is, and it's not something
Has he
he
ever
puts
done
on.
anything different than that?
I mean, I always wonder sometimes if after a certain type of performance and thing becomes popular, if you start to accentuate it a little bit.
Yeah.
But with him, it seems that he just has always been.
I don't
He
think
really
that's right.
has.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was in the original Death Wish with Charles Bronson.
Right. Oh,
And
yeah.
he
That's a
played the-
terrible scene.
It is. It's an awful scene for him, but he literally plays thug number 1.
Right.
And he's the one who sexually assaults Charles Bronson's wife.
It's terrible.
But it's still, once again,
Jeff Goldblum?
It's still Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I
It's
can't
weird.
picture Jeff.
How traumatic
Goldblum
would
doing
that be?
I mean, I like watching his show on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Interesting. But anyway.
Something I want to bring up about a performance. This is, like I said, he went to see, her name is Penny Pretty,
Yeah.
in jail, because he obviously is attracted to her for some reason, and we find out later it's because she's the identical twin of his deceased wife.
Right.
Yes.
She doesn't know she was separated at birth from her sister. But here's what I want to talk about with Ellen Barkin's performance as Penny.
Yeah.
She is clutching these bars like it's a bedroom scene. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it seems like she plays every scene like she's on the verge of climax.
In this movie?
In this
No.
movie. I'm
Yeah.
not getting the way she delivers her line.
I'll agree with
She's
that.
always like super out of breath. She's always like seems like it's about to become a love scene. Am I wrong?
No.
She was even in the jail scene, like she had the blanket between her legs.
Right.
And she kind of had like her thigh,
Showing.
everything
showing, and she was like clutching this blanket.
in her voice,
Yep.
in her
Yep.
but just Buckaroo, like she's always like out of breath and like seemingly ready to just dive on him.
I mean, her name is Penny Pretty.
I know it just was
Well,
very,
and then
very over the top.
So then her sister's name is Peggy Pretty, which I think is
pretty.
Yeah,
humorous.
Or is Pretty an adopted name?
Could be adopted name. I also want to say this is the one other line that Buckaroo has where it's like, oh, you remind me of home. And then, and you remind me of someone, and I'm like, you're missing wife? That's weird.
Yeah,
Who was she?
right.
like wouldn't he have known that immediately?
And then
Right.
it was like, she's like, was she beautiful? And he replies back, she was the queen of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
Kind of
really
like you,
though?
but different.
I don't know. That line
Yep.
was so like.
That's the
what
thing.
does that
Yeah, I was
mean? don't
like,
know what that
is that a metaphor for something?
Was she actually the queen of the Netherlands?
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
she could have been.
Probably. I mean, with this movie,
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense unless she actually is. It doesn't make sense as like, I don't know if the queen of the Netherlands is pretty or not.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I've never met her.
we can add. We can also add to his long list of accolades that he's also apparently the chief of police because he's just like let her out of jail.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
Yeah,
Buckaroo
whatever you
says
say.
it's fine, no
Whatever you
problem.
say, Buckaroo. Yep.
So
Good old Buckaroo.
also the chief of police. We can add that one on there. It's amazing the world they created and the level to which they go to show that this guy is basically the most well-loved person in the world, the most famous person in the world. Everybody wants to be on his team. He's good at everything.
Yeah.
And he can basically do whatever he wants.
Yep. Even pull off red glasses.
I will say this. In the original opening crawl, they mentioned that he went and studied martial arts.
Yes.
He doesn't perform not one act of martial arts in the entire movie.
No.
Not one.
This brings us to the next scene, though, right?
Yes.
When they're on the tour bus.
Yeah,
Well,
he's doing his ritual.
He's doing his ritual with the
sword.
He's got like a samurai. He's got like a Japanese hut in the back of his tour bus.
Yeah.
Right. And they really only show it in 2 scenes. They don't really dive deep into his. He's seemingly super into Japanese culture because he's got the name. He's got the headband he wears during the jet.
Well, his
the
dad's
jet truck.
Japanese, I believe, if
Is
I'm
it?
not mistaken.
Yeah, his dad's Japanese.
Okay. See, I didn't know.
Yeah.
That was in the opening crawl.
There's too much information in the opening crawl to
It was
process.
an American mother and a Japanese father.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
But so that, and that's this is what made me laugh in a bad way, was just how forced it was for Peter Weller to, like, even in the jail scene when the guard's like, "Oh, she's 3rd cell down in the pink dress," and he's like, "Arigato," and it's like, shut up, Peter Weller. Like, God, you're so.
Yes.
Or on the bus when he's wearing the kimono and the hakimas.
I know.
And it's just like,
It's cringy, man.
You
I'm
look
gonna bow down and put this on.
absolutely awful. Like,
Yes.
this is such a forced, like, by the way, and of course in our times now,
They would never let it fly.
cultural misappropriation
Yeah, I was
and
That's
all
what
that
they
that.
would
too.
say.
The
In
only
2021 or 22, that's what they would
The
say.
only thing I think
Yeah.
was his dark hair made him sort of Japanese.
Right, exactly.
Does he even
Yeah.
have dark hair in normal life? I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I think he's turning Japanese. I really think so.
here we go. You deserve that. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, well done, well done.
Speaking of a crowd of people, right after this, they hold a press conference.
I see, and I thought it was a board meeting at first, and then I'm like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, why is the press
He's
conference?
also the
guy's
CEO of Disney. This is what this is. Yes.
There was the tour bus scene, which was also a bunch of expo dumps.
Yes.
Because apparently his tour bus is also a mobile command center.
It
I
is.
did not understand there was 2 levels of that tour bus till
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
almost the end of the movie.
And
And I'm
then-
like, oh, that's
I
where
agree
they
with
are.
you.
The top of the tour bus
Yeah.
is like this command world.
Yeah.
What do they call it? World something.
No, yeah. So Clancy Brown comes down. He's like, "Oh, hot off the world watch wire."
Yeah.
And I was just like, WWW. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that made me laugh.
That's good.
And they talk, there's the little expo dump about Lazaro being a psychopathic lunatic.
Right,
Just
well, they gotta
killing
go
as
through all
opposed- yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Before
But-
they get to the press conference.
So now, that's also established that not only is he a rock star and literally everything else we've mentioned so far, he also has a mobile command center, which apparently lets him tap into every database of information in the world. to
Right.
where his
It's
Hong
a-
Kong Cavaliers can perform investigations and
Sure.
and in that way, they're kind of like Megaforce,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Is this and Lazaro has escaped before this.
Yeah, so I know I kind of skimmed over that because there's just so much to get through in this movie. I'm trying to just kind of hit the highlights
Gotcha.
because we'll be here for 3 hours. There's like if I get every single plot point.
I mean, I thought
But-
that was a highlight. to
Oh
have the
no,
mobile
no,
command
of
center.
course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should mention that Lazaro had broken out of the loony bin previous to this,
Yes.
Yeah, and he calls
and he breaks
Big
the
Booty.
guy's neck, and he
Oh no, we forgot about Big Booty.
Booty.
Yeah.
Big Booty.
Big Booty.
Tay. My God, the
Enter
man,
in Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd is
Calls collect to John Big Booty.
Let's just say
That's
there's
right.
some dysfunction in the organization.
yeah, and he's also maybe more of a murderous psychopath than Lizardo is
Yes.
himself because he kills a lot of
He
people
does
in this
kill
movie.
a lot of people.
Christopher Lloyd just looks at somebody and will snap their neck.
I know, but what's so great
shoot
is the
spit bullets at him.
constant running
Yeah, spit
gag
bullets.
of
Yeah.
the big booty.
Booty.
Yes. Yes. It's-
Kills
well,
me.
And they don't pick that up till Warfin shows up in person with him.
Yeah.
Big Booty. And he's
It's
like,
just
Booty,
great.
Booty, and you're
Yeah.
like, his name's Big Booty.
Yeah, and you chuckle like a little 5-year-old.
yeah. So they hold this whole press conference because they want to let the world know what they know. They're sharing information. That's very nice of them. They're trying to say, okay, aliens. There's aliens. I went through a mountain and there's aliens, but they're not like from space. They're from right here. They're from the inside of this rock. They are interdimensional. I thought of John Hurt from Indiana Jones, right? From the space between spaces, and all of that stuff. So they're not from space, but then they are from space because there's also aliens coming from
that
space.
became very confusing.
In fact, the rest of the movie, they're represented as space aliens, right?
No, so you don't know what's anything going on until
Yeah.
the lady sends her message.
Right, I
Via the
like-
Rastafarian
right.
dude.
The Rasta alien comes,
But you don't know what's going. Yeah, you don't know
Yeah.
what's happening.
Right.
Okay, but in this time, he's like, there's interdimensional beings, and we're gonna figure this out.
Right.
And I've got one of their things one of their space coconuts in a jar of pee right here on the table.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, are we in Batman versus Superman again here? We got a jar of pee at a press conference.
Right, a press conference that has like 7 people at it.
Yeah.
This massive Department of Defense press conference to share information.
He's like the Secretary of Defense or whatever. He's like,
Yes.
we got to do this fast because there's a Harley convention coming. You're like, what? The government can't get time?
I cracked up at that one because he said, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a motorcycle convention rolling in. And I was like, dad joke.
Well, and this is where I feel like it was called on by Buckaroo. I feel like this is his press conference to tell certain amount of people, so he invited the government there.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't like a government-owned process.
It was
the other thing that that I kind of took from the whole alien thing that you were talking about was that I feel like what had happened was the red aliens left their planet from this planet 10, and then they were stuck here. So on our planet. So they found a place to hide, which is in between
Yo-Yo
this
dying.
like matter.
Oh,
yeah.
Hold on.
Well, Yo-Yo dying too, but that's where I feel like that's.
I don't think those are the same aliens, though.
So what you're
They are
saying,
the
though,
same alien. Well-
is that the modern Transformers franchise is also inspired by the plot of Buckaroo Bonzai.
Yes, that's a very good point.
So
Okay.
here's,
I don't want to get too into the weeds, but go ahead.
But
look, the black aliens are the good guys. The white aliens are the bad guys.
well, the red aliens, yeah.
Red
That's how.
But they are white in human form.
in human form.
Yeah.
Now, I like the fact they flipped that script,
Yeah.
right? So I like that's good.
No, that's
Good
great.
for
But
them.
look,
But it doesn't make any sense. In fact, when they said the black thermopod, I'm like, wait, are the black guys called black thermopod? Are they a different alien?
Yeah,
What's
no,
going
he did.
on?
Yeah.
Different race.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what's
They
going
are.
on?
That was
Yeah.
established that the
Are
black
they a different race?
Yes. Yeah.
They're different. I thought they were the same aliens, just that John Warfin was. He said they were their military.
Wouldn't it be like here,
commanders.
just different races of the same alien? Like
Yes.
we're all human,
Right. So like
Different.
right,
all
that's
the-
why the race was Jamaicans.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was established that it was some type of race.
I just want to know why Ellen Barkin's character is at the press conference.
Why was she? At the
Why is she at the table? She just got out of jail 5 minutes ago, and he's got her seated at the table
Yeah.
with his team.
And she knows stuff all of a sudden. Like,
Right,
she
there's
gives
no reason for her to be
She gives
there.
explanation about when they ask questions, and I'm
No.
like, why
there's-
does she
yeah,
know that?
No, there's not. Agreeably, there is no reason for her to be
Yeah,
there.
there is for her.
But
to give that sexy line about I'll
Yeah.
hold your thruster anytime or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the press conference gets interrupted. There's a call from the president. They've got it patched through a payphone, and this is kind of where the plot goes a little bit faster from this point on, with a little more forward momentum because he gets zapped. We find out that the Rasta aliens that are coming from space are. This is a real movie that I'm having to
I know it's
describe.
True. It's so weird.
There's Rasta aliens coming from space have intercepted the signal of the president's phone call and zap him through the payphone. Stop me if I'm getting this wrong.
No, you got it.
And then he goes into convulsions on the ground, starts writing a formula on his hand, and now he can also see electroids
Yes.
like Roddy Piper and They Live
yes.
as they walk around the world,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
He now has the ability to see.
And can I just share with you, every time I saw an alien in a business suit, I thought it was the funniest thing
Yes.
ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was.
It's like
Yep.
it was awesome.
Yep.
But he comes running out and he starts pointing at them, and so the 3 electroids take off from the Christopher Lloyd comes out and grabs the Hakima,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
He
say.
comes from the back.
He comes
You
from
got-
the back.
In the front, you got Dan Hidea and
Yeah.
Vincent Schiavelli, who are the
I
henchmen.
love that.
That's John Gomez and John O'Connor.
That's right.
Yes.
And the 3 of them take Hakima, and Banzai is trying to chase them. And every time you round a corner, this is how random this movie is.
Yeah.
Every time they walk around a corner, I'm like, what's going to happen? There's just a guy wheeling a motorcycle down a hallway, right? Or there's or there's a crazy spinning random toy.
Yep.
Or I always thought to myself, I wouldn't be surprised if you came around the corner and there was like a giraffe playing the flute. Okay. Or like this is the kind of
The
movie.
movie does that itself. Why is there a watermelon there?
Jeff Goldblum was like speaking for the audience.
I'll tell you later.
He just comes around and he's like, why is there a giant watermelon here? I've asked that question through the whole movie, and I love that they even acknowledge it
Yeah.
in the film. And they never go back and explain why there's a watermelon there.
No.
You just accept it as a non sequitur.
It's like this is a first-time director, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I just imagine that people just kept walking up to him and be like, "Yo, we got this. We got these guys on the motorcycles. Should we bring them? Yeah, go ahead. We got this watermelon." Like, he just said yes to everybody that came up to him.
Yeah.
And said, "Yo, we've got these. Should we throw this in the shot?" Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to say no.
Well,
Maybe that.
And
or,
what
or the screenwriter who, I mean, sure, he wrote New York, but he only wrote it as a screenwriter. He didn't actually have the story of New York.
Yes.
Whereas this was his 100% own create. What was the screenwriter's name? Earl?
Roush.
Yeah, Roush.
Earl Mac Roush.
Earl Mac Roush. So Earl Mac Roush had been writing Buckaroo Bonzai material 10 years prior.
Right.
Because he had met W.D. Richter and they had, had all these conversations over the span of a decade of like, oh, this one character, Buckaroo Bonzai, is doing this. And now he's doing
But he never
that.
finished a script.
Right. And he
Right.
never finished the script until they finally got the funding for this.
He had like
and
10 unfinished Banzai scripts.
Yes,
Because he'd get
exactly.
halfway through and he'd start
maybe
a new
that's
one.
why it's so choppy. Maybe it's like a piece.
I mean,
from
maybe,
each script.
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe the watermelon is like the big climax in screenplay number 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah.
But what an anticlimactic car chase scene.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it
he
was
chases
such
him on
a-
the motorcycle.
Such a non-starter.
Yeah, and you're just like,
It
let me
was-
just circle a couple of times here before
I didn't
chase
understand when
the
he
van.
came
Yeah.
came out of the tunnel and then just like did that
Yeah.
circle on the ground and then I was like, what is he
I don't know
doing?
which way they went.
Banzai's chasing them. He steals one of the bikes from the
Yeah.
motorcycle convention.
Yeah.
It
The
was
conveniently
so
scheduled motorcycle
anticlimactic,
convention.
I can't even remember that there actually was a car chase.
Because it didn't
Yeah,
really
because it
happen.
really wasn't a car chase.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny he stole a Sportster, but maybe that was a hot bike back then. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
It was just terrible because the score picked up for like 30 seconds and you're like, yes, this is
Right.
going to be a car chase.
Yeah.
And then it just wasn't.
No.
Yeah, so as he's chasing after these 3 electroids that have stolen Hakima, at the same time, the Rasta aliens are like their coconut is crashing into the backwoods. Okay, they're
Shot, right? The
this
100
giant
Yes.
space coconut
Yeah.
yes, it got shot by some hillbillies and they crashed in the backwoods. And the business suit,
Can I just challenge your assumption of hillbillies? Because I actually thought they were the most sane and rational people in the whole movie.
I didn't mean that with a negative connotation. Just more of a descriptor.
You're right. The one guy who's
More
like,
of a descriptor.
I'm not putting these guns down.
These guns
It's
down.
like, yes, that is the smartest thing anyone has done in this
Yeah,
film.
the same genius just
somebody-
chucks one of the guns into the muck
I
too.
thought that was
yeah, yeah.
somebody cover this guy up. What
Super
guy?
smart.
Throw me the gun. It throws it into the swamp.
Yep, those are
And the other one's
But
jammed.
come on, that was realistic. Like if you're that terrified,
Yeah.
you're not gonna
those are
care.
rocket surgeons for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
No, my other favorite line of that is he's like, somebody cover this guy up. What guy? He's got paws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the same time, the business suit aliens are tracking them down. They're being chased by Banzai. They also are trying to get to this crash site to take care of whoever it was that crashed.
I try not to worry about things like this, but what was going on? It was like light when they shot the thing. It was dark when they got to it.
Yeah.
And it was light like Banzai gets back the next morning. But none of that's taken place very far apart.
No, well,
Yeah, but
The crash was
Michael
supposed to
Bay
happen
does the same
overnight.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to care, but about
Michael Bay does the same thing with his
when you have
helicopters against
so much,
sunsets.
when you have so
And then
much
it's dark.
craziness going on, I want a little consistency with time.
well, you're in the
Oh, I
wrong
agree
movie.
with you.
Yeah.
Here's
The wrong movie.
here's another WTF moment. The call goes out on the radio. Banzai's in trouble, and this random kid Scooter, whose dad works at a sofa gas station,
But he flies a helicopter too.
and
he has a
is a
helicopter.
helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
First of all, this is the big WTF thing was the business itself. I need to understand your business model here. You're selling sofas at a gas station. They're right next to the pump. There's like and it was like the double decker sofa like from the Lego movie. There's like a bunch of them.
Right.
I remember
Sure.
now vaguely seeing sofas, but I don't even remember paying attention.
Oh, there were signs
weird.
like we'll sell everything, even this sign. And there's sofas like with price tags all over, like in front of the door, literally by the gas pumps. Like you literally pull up and you hear
That
there's
was
two
weird,
couches.
So maybe it was a pawn shop gas station.
And why were they called the
Slash furniture
Blue
store.
Blazer Irregulars?
Yes, the
So
Blue
what it is
Blazer
is
Irregulars. Yep.
He has a team of people that are basically on call all the time for him.
He has an army of people.
Yeah.
So Scooter and his helicopter's couch selling father is part of that team.
Yeah, because they both, if you notice, he has a Banzai hat on.
Yeah.
Scooter does.
Yeah.
So he's like a honorary member, him and his dad.
But doesn't
So
Rawhide Rawhide or Perfect Tommy, one of them says something like, put the call out to the Blue Blazer irregulars in the area. No strike teams, just, something like that.
Which is because they're people that are under his, like,
and then
his
later
watch.
we get the rug suckers.
Yes, the rug suckers,
So Buckaroo is also a general.
Okay, he's also a general of an
military
army.
general.
Got it.
He's got a militia.
Of a militia.
Of militia.
Yes.
Perfect. So there's 2 Rasta aliens in the giant space coconut. The first one comes out and he slips and falls and dies in like 30 seconds.
Does he slip? I was so confused by that. It's like he stands up, he sees the door close beneath him, and then he just rolls down.
That's what I'm saying. It made no sense.
But they didn't shoot him, right? He just
he just literally fell and died.
He literally like just falls and rolls and hits his head on a rock.
Yeah, I didn't.
Charlie's dead.
and the other guy's just sitting in there tapping his hands.
Right.
Oh, then he blows himself up.
Well, he blows the thing up. He sneaks off. Well, no, there's a third one that's in the pod, right? Anyway, the other Rasta alien sneaks off from the crash site with like a box of donuts.
Pink box.
The pink cake box.
Yeah, you see it lowering down. You're like, what is going on?
Yep.
And meanwhile, while the three, Christopher Lloyd and the other electroids are arguing with the hillbillies that found the space coconut, Banzai sneaks into their van and saves Hakima.
Right.
Yes.
And what an interesting way he has to transfer the formula.
Why would you put it on the poor guy's head? He's gonna have to like look at a mirror and look at it backwards. And make sure you got it right.
He's like, I need the formula, and he licks his hand where he wrote it and smacks it onto his forehead.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a little electric sound effect?
I
too?
think it burned into
like
his brain.
he zapped it into his brain. Like
Maybe.
He says, I got ionized.
It's like before we had cell phones where we could just touch them together and transfer information. That's how they did it.
Which was very disappointing,
And
actually.
just lick their hand and smack them in the face.
My wife and I did that like once, and we're like, that was very anticlimactic. We're never going to transfer information that way again.
I want to wipe all the spit off, but I can't.
So this is where afterwards they go back to home base where, there's apparently 2 people waiting outside the gate just trying to catch a glimpse of...
Yeah, it's the Buckaroo
and they're
Institute.
sitting on a Pinto, I think.
Yes.
Or a
I was going to
Mustang
say
or
that is a Pinto sighting right there.
Oh, nice.
And he's like giving the guy a hard time. He's like, hey, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, these are the groupies? Is that what they are?
Yeah,
like, they're just
pretty much.
outside?
Yeah,
like,
they're just...
oh, that's Hakima. That's him. That's him.
I want to meet Buckaroo.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right.
Oh, 2 fans. Got it. Most famous person in the world. There's 2 people outside.
I mean, that's once again where maybe we'll just talk about it at the end.
Well, and before this, too, Buckaroo Bonzai gets saved by the helicopter.
Yes, I should say that. Yeah, the sofa dad shows up, and as the van is going to run him down, the van of aliens, there's like literally a ladder, and he doesn't even like look at it and grab it. It almost like grabs him.
And he doesn't hear the helicopter above him?
No.
Because you can't hear the helicopter tell
He just runs into the ladder.
Yeah.
And then
off he goes.
the professor takes the Harley back to the to the institute.
And then the little kid's with him the rest of the time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They just let him join the team, Scooter and Sofa
like,
Dad.
Hey, Scooter, we're gonna go face aliens, and it's super dangerous.
Here's a shotgun.
Yeah.
Here's a gun.
Here's a rifle. Have at it.
That's bigger than you are.
It is the 80s, I guess.
I guess.
And I mean, it was common in Africa.
Child soldiers?
Child soldiers.
Yes.
I mean, yes, it. In a very tragic sense, yes, it is.
All right, but this is where they figured out the aliens that Yo-Yo dying while they're back at home base. They got the crack squad there. Got Clancy Brown, he's on it. Lewis Smith, they're all, beep boop science on the monitors.
Figuring out everybody's name is John.
Right, and they figure out, wait a second, these guys at Yo-Yo dying, they don't have birthdays.
Impossible that they'd all be Johns.
They don't have birthdays.
Yeah,
they don't have place of birth, anything.
Then we get the big reveal that Orson Welles' War of the Worlds was actually true.
Yes.
And they hypnotized him to say later it was fake.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I did too. That was actually a turning point.
There you go.
Yes.
In my opinion, that was a turning point in the movie where I all of a sudden became,
Yeah.
this is really cool.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
And for those of you that are listening that don't know, way back in the day, Orson Welles had perpetuated a hoax, and I don't know if he did it intentionally or not, but they made a radio broadcast of the movie. Well, you guys know it as a movie, War of the Worlds, but at the time was a book. And so he's describing these aliens invading, and people
They did
across
it as a newscast.
as a newscast, and people across the country
Thought it was real.
freaked out and thought aliens were invading, and they had to go back on the air and say, guys, it was just a story. It was just, And so the way that they took that and said, what if that had actually been a real alien invasion? and then they covered it up.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And they also realize everybody's name's John, right? They're going down the list, and it's like literally some of these names were hilarious. There's an entire list you can go see online, but my favorite were John Smallberries.
He's my brother.
They got John Crankshaft. I mean, whatever. There's just like all these guys on here.
Crankshaft.
Yeah.
And it's just great.
John the Don Juan.
And also while the crack squad's, sciencing on the science machines, the Rasta alien is trying to get in, and he ends up just passing the box of donuts over the gate to the guy that won't let him in.
The guard, yeah.
The guard won't let him in.
Right.
So he goes back. He's like, crap, they've got my box of donuts, which is, we find out like a Princess Leia message, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they had to wear bubble wrap to see it.
To watch it.
That was so, I know.
My wife,
Oh,
my wife was in the room
Yes.
listening
That's
to her
all
own
I thought.
podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
She looks up at that moment and she laughs.
Yes.
And I can never tell when she's got her earbuds in if she's laughing at what's going on in the room or what she's listening to.
Yeah. Sure.
She says, "What are they wearing on their faces?" I said, "They're bubble wrap masks."
That's right.
Yeah.
Actually, she said, "Is that bubble wrap?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're
Yeah.
bubble
The one lady
wrap
walks in,
masks."
she's like, what are you guys looking at? And they put the bubble wrap around her. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's the Rasta aliens leader
Yes.
telling Buckaroo,
John
M-Doll.
M-Doll.
John M-Doll.
yeah.
That also leads to one of the better lines in the movie.
What's that?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'm
She's
on the edge of
basically
my
saying, all right, the person that was absorbed by Lizardo was like our version of Hitler.
Right.
And there was this big war between us and them.
Yes.
And you've now given them a chance to.
And he was trapped in the 8th dimension.
He was trapped there,
Yes.
and now you've let him out, and so you've got till sunset to destroy him,
Or we're gonna
bomb Russia.
make your stuff shoot Russia.
Yes.
Right.
Your
Yes.
nuclear-
How would they even know that Russia and America were
Well, they're
in a
aliens.
war?
They're smart. They've been watching for a while.
They've just been watching.
Well, they sit on really high chairs, so that assumes they know what they're doing.
Another random thing.
They sit
cut
on
to
very
it.
high chairs in space.
Yes.
Right.
So
And-
they know
Weird,
all
spiky
current events.
Right.
spaceship,
And one's
so-
wearing a feather boa, and the other one's got hockey gloves on. Okay.
Hockey gloves.
And one of them sits,
Yes, he was wearing hockey
one of them
gloves.
sits with his legs up.
Yes.
You could tell the actor was like, "It's really hard to sit with your legs dangling, but I'm just going to put my legs up for these."
That was funny.
For whatever
Cutaways were hilarious.
they were great. Like when you're not ready, and they just smash
Right.
cuts to
Yeah.
the
Other
high
aliens.
chairs.
Yeah.
I just assumed they were playing chess or something, like a bunch of old Jews in New York City or something.
Oh crap! What was I going to say?
Probably wasn't worth saying.
It probably wasn't.
So John M. Doll sends the message.
Yeah, we
That's
got
where
the
we're at.
message. We got the
Oh,
mask.
so thank you. Whatever credit I had given them for the Orson Welles thing was immediately subtracted. I mean, my head hit the table. I'm like, this was the point of Hollywood where you have got to inject Russia into every single
Well, of course,
movie.
it's 84.
Oh,
Like,
right. Yeah.
just to have
Yeah,
conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course, you
Yes.
got to bomb Russia, or Russia's going to bomb. I'm like, can we just have one 80s movie where they don't incorporate the threat of Russia and nuclear annihilation?
Sure. Big
Was
Trouble in Little China.
So frustrating. That's why it's a classic.
Exactly.
This goes to my point. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Great.
You guys are all saving stuff for later, so I'm
dying
expecting
for it.
the last 5 minutes of this podcast to be
Chef's kiss.
incredible. So
We're
if you're
gonna get
listening
deep
at
and
home,
philosophical.
you've got to stay all the way to the end
Got to stay all the way
to hear what these two guys are going to drop on us right here.
It's gonna be something.
Yeah, but so anyway, the Rasta alien says kill this guy, kill John Lithgow, or we're going to bomb Russia.
Who we find out later is actually a diplomat by training.
Yeah.
And he failed pilot school.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of
That's
characteristics
what
to
John.
him.
all that
That's
stuff.
John
Yep.
Parker.
Yep. John Parker.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, the three Christopher Lloyd and his two buddies, the bad aliens, leap over the wall to get in.
Yeah.
And then the other Rasta alien sees them, the one that wasn't able to get in, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know we had a terrific leaping abilities."
I'm going to do this too.
So
Right.
he also jumps in, and then the three bad aliens murder a mechanic. They have spit bullets or something that they're able to do.
Spit bullet thing, right? And I'm like, what the heck did he just?
He just
do?
goes whoa, he
Isn't
hocks a
it the-
loogie and then he dies.
Yeah. It's like the arachnid thing, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the
Maybe.
big booty lung booger.
What's the? It's the same
Yes.
thing that spoiler alert kills Rawhide, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they have. Yeah, they
Yeah.
use these organic creatures to kill humans.
Yes.
Yeah, these spider-looking things.
But where did they get them from? And where
They
don't know.
spit them out.
They spit
right?
them out of. They just have literally a spider sack in their stomach.
I was gonna say they're like
And they just spit 'em
weaponized,
out, weaponized.
internally. Yeah.
Maybe you're right about
I don't
that.
know.
I thought they were just.
But yeah, so this is the first time his
You know
name.
what? That's actually a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it,
gross.
to have like an alien that weaponizes. Oh wait, that happens
Spiders?
in how many other?
Wasn't one
movies?
of them was like?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Was it Rawhide that was like, I don't want to die by a spider? Or something
Yes.
Like that? Yeah.
And then promptly dies by a spider.
spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. The this is also when his name starts to make sense because he's been calling him Big Booty, and then you realize now we learn the information about John. They're all named John something.
John.
So his name is actually John Big Booty.
Right.
Tay.
Christopher Lloyd. People keep calling him Big Booty, and it pisses him off.
Yes.
Well, it's just John Warfin that
He
calls
gets
him.
murderous.
John Warfin calls him. I don't think anybody else calls him Big Booty.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the general guy.
That could be. Anyway.
Anyway, the aliens are able to steal Penny, who has the oscillator, right? And they make off with
Yes,
her.
because the Japanese dude hit it on her trying to protect it.
Exactly.
Then they get her.
Oh, that's what I missed that part. I guess.
He slid it under the gate.
Yeah.
And then they immediately captured
Oh yeah, never mind.
She puts it in her purse and then comes around the corner and sees John O'Connor.
Right.
And he's
Pretty
like,
purse.
good morning, isn't it? Which also shows time reference.
Yeah.
Oh, it's her purse. That,
Sure.
Yeah.
That the general gets that from.
Right.
Right. So she's
I wonder why
abducted.
it was clear. Did she work in like retail?
She serves almost, by the way, no purpose in this entire movie. She really does nothing of value at all.
She gets the overthruster to them. That's the
How?
whole purpose of her. Because she has it on her purse.
Right, but she
And
didn't
then
do
she
anything.
gets
They
stolen.
literally put it in her purse, and then she just sits there
Well,
the whole
no.
time until they
after
get
that,
her
she's
back.
useless. But I'm
That's
just
what I'm
saying, like, yeah, up until that point.
She has that one line.
she's
of
a pack mule.
exposition at the conference.
Pretty
that
much.
explains something.
Yeah, I guess.
And then he doesn't know, and he doesn't know she's a
I
doctor.
guess.
She says, "Doctor Pretty." And he's like, "Doctor."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could admit that Penny Pretty's purse is a plot point that was precariously placed.
That was very good.
That was perfectly executed.
And then
How
my
precise of you.
Oh, wait. No. I can never remember.
So-
I got to remember it's the green one.
The other really funny and like sad, disturbing line is when he tells her just flat out, "Oh, you're my wife's twin that you didn't know about. She died."
Yeah.
And then he doesn't. He just like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like,
And she's
I'm out
like
of here.
crushed.
yeah.
She's like, "What are you doing? Why are you here? Why,
Well,
why
by
won't
that-
you be with me or something?"
By
like
that point,
Yeah.
you know, they're just in love
for some reason.
Even though they've had like 2 scenes together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get to the final showdown here because that's essentially what happens, right? We've got the phone call. You know, John Lithgow calls Buckaroo Bonzai. Hey, we got your girl, right? You better come get your girl. Bring the oscillator because, you know, we got your girl, right?
Yep.
Your typical 80s thing. There is a great line that I love. I love John Lithgow. His performance is over the top. Doesn't even cover John Lithgow's performance in this movie. He's over the top of the top. Okay.
Yes.
And he's got this line where he's like, okay, he's like basically like, oh yes, you broke through a dimension. Congratulations. I did it way before you. And like, I'm sure you'll go down in the miserable annals of Earth. And you know, like, it's just
It's a great.
Yes.
great.
I
Great
like
line.
when he goes from very like subtle, like, oh,
Yes.
how are you today? I am angry. And he like gets like
Yep.
Right.
seemingly excited. Yeah.
And then he's got this girl like, take her to the pit. Now, big booty.
Yeah.
Put more honey on her till she talks.
Right.
It's Big Booty. Big Booty.
There's few things more enjoyable than Christopher Lloyd, a frustrated Christopher
No.
Yeah,
Lloyd.
and why? So here's my confusion in the organizational structure. He feels
Yeah.
very comfortable correcting the big Lord guy
Yeah.
for how he calls his name. So Christopher Lloyd feels like he's more in control or something.
Well, because he's probably been running yo-yo
That's
time
true.
the
That's
whole
true.
time, and this guy's been rotting away in a loony bin,
Big
and now
blue
he's got to
days,
take
yeah.
orders from this clown.
I compared it
right?
to
Yeah.
Megatron and Starscream.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's that same relationship.
Shut
you
up,
go.
big booty, you coward! You're the weakest individual I ever know.
Circling back to Transformers.
That's right.
You're welcome.
Yep.
All right, so Buckaroo's like, it's time to go, guys. It's snorkel vest time. Everybody get your snorkel vests on.
Yes.
Can I tell you, that was one of my favorite scenes because Jeff Goldblum does the so subtle breathe into it, and he
Yes.
looks back at the
Yeah,
Jamaican
he does.
alien, and he
That's
goes,
great.
He turns back like, yikes.
Yep.
And then he goes, maybe I was just not seeing what. Oh, no, I definitely saw what I saw.
I thought of as a director, I'm like, oh, those vests, that's so that they don't have to keep changing between aliens and people anymore.
Yes.
And they
Yeah,
can just make everybody look. Because previous to that, it was really confusing because sometimes they'd be human,
Yeah.
and even in the same scene, and then they'd be alien, and you start to realize it's only because certain people in the scene
Could
can
see
see them
them.
that way, but that's really
Right.
hard to communicate visually.
Yes.
Which one is seeing who, and they didn't do a very good job. And so now when you got the snorkel vest, which was literally, guys, just a vest with a snorkel tube hooked up to it like a mouthpiece from a snorkel like you get at Walmart.
Yep.
And then when you breathe through it, now you can see what you're supposed to see.
Now you can see the aliens.
But the only one we ever see breathe through it is Jeff Goldblum. Every other actor's like, I'm not doing this. This looks ridiculous.
I just got it on.
At least they're wearing it.
They wore them. But
it
yeah.
establishes.
And also, why doesn't Lizardo look alien?
Well, that's what I think we were all trying to figure out earlier.
Yeah.
Was if he has an alien inside him, why doesn't he ever turn alien?
At this point, once everyone's got the thing and everyone can see everything, he still
It's true. Is he
looks
never
like a
shown as
person.
an alien?
He's never shown as an alien.
No, he's not. But that's back to the 1938 scene where, like, I interpret it, the reasoning behind it, I interpret it as because Warfin somehow possessed Lazaro.
So he's not a full alien. He's like a hybrid.
I guess.
I mean, he's a host. Lazaro is a host for Warfin, and that's, I don't know. That's what I got out of it, and that's why he never looks like an alien.
I think they made a mistake there. They should have made
I
him look
agree.
like an alien.
So the team rolls in and they kind of start to separate. First of all, the security of defense is a field agent.
Yeah. What's
Okay.
going on with that? It's the very
So-
Star Wars of it. Star Trek of it. Send
Trek,
the
yeah.
captain down to do the work instead
Right.
of your minions.
He's a loose cannon.
The Secretary of Defense
Where's
has
my truncheon bomber? What
Yeah.
the heck's a truncheon bomber?
Right.
Yep.
Is he a mole? Is he in cahoots with them? Because they seem very willing to let him through the facility.
Okay, let's just be honest and say they're very willing to let anyone in the facility because Buckaroo
That's true.
Bonzai drives his truck, his van,
but
with Buckaroo Bonzai on the side.
Yeah, but
into
the guy was on there. The captain was.
Yeah.
He came in
came
with
in
them.
with them.
So the answer to that is the president hired Yo-Yo Dine to create a special bomber.
The truncheon bomber.
Right.
Yeah, the truncheon
So
bomber.
that's supposed to be.
Okay.
They were hired by the U.S.
He was going to check the
Correct.
see
So that's how
it was
he
going,
got the
yes.
sneak in because they already knew who he
Also,
was.
side note, they've got the president in traction through the entire movie. He's
Yeah.
got like a back problem. Like, what was the point of that? Like,
That I have no idea.
that was so apropos of nothing. They could have just had him sit behind a desk,
Yeah.
but they got to have him in
that whole
traction.
thing was very odd to me, and I just went, okay.
Maybe it was meant to show that the president wasn't really in charge.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, that's like, these days the 25th Amendment would be invoked and
Right.
Kamala Harris would be
Exactly.
president.
Is that true?
So Banzai is captured and he's tortured. He's hooked up to this ridiculous electrical device.
shocker.
The shocker. And he's like, input your equations on this piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Banzai, who's a neurosurgeon, a martial artist, a chef, a mortgage loan officer, and a 5-time ballroom dancing champion, is like, how the F do I math on a piano?
Yeah.
I forgot that he was a ballroom champion.
I'm just assuming he is.
Man.
Right? But he's like, how do you input math into a piano?
Well, music's mathematic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know.
But even Bugger, like, we found the thing I can't do.
At this point, it's like 10:30 at night, and I was just surviving on coffee, so I don't remember that exactly. Actually,
It's just another level of
here's the other thing.
ridiculousness.
How does he know? He knows like immediately they're from planet 10 on the 8th dimension. But how does he know that?
because he's
I think because he got shocked and some of that information
From
went
info
into
to-
him.
Right.
That's the only
and
thing.
he's
I can
also
Yeah, from the phone shock.
an astronomer and a telescope scientist.
Oh.
Right. So he actually named Planet 10 because he discovered it.
Oh.
Because he's also a space explorer.
And I love how he says in one scene, "The deuce, you say."
Yeah.
Like the 1920s, once it's slang back. Like, what's going on? Buckaroo?
Yeah.
Deuce, you say.
Yeah. But one of my, I think this has got to be my favorite part in the entire movie. Because at this point, it was just like at first I got upset when like random things would happen. And I was like,
And
what
now
is
you're
this?
just used to
And
it.
now I was like so ready for it that I was like, it was funnier each time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when the team is sneaking in past these tailgating aliens who are literally like eating chips on lawn chairs like they're in the parking lot of an Allman Brothers concert.
Why is there bivouacs?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? And just like, I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like this is where they live, and they've been here for like what since 38 to 84, 50 some years, and
guess.
they still can't build like regular bunks.
Yeah. In a way, that was almost once again another turning point of, like you said, the random things were initially you're like, what?
Yes.
The PA
And then
announcements
by
were
that point, you're just like, oh, all the random things are actually pretty intentional.
Yes.
The joy is found in duty. Work
Right.
hard.
Yes.
John Warfin is the best.
Yes. Yes.
When are we gonna go? Real soon.
Real
Yeah.
soon. Oh, the speech. Lizardo gives that speech, which is the culmination of Lithgow's insane performance.
Yes.
Just beautifully delivered. He was great in this movie. I have nothing bad to say. I mean, Lithgow said in an interview, right? He said, there's been times in my career where I've gone close to going over the top, right? He said, but that entire performance was over the top,
Yes.
right? Intentionally on his part. He thought, I am going to do something that I'm not ever able to do in any of these movies and literally just go off the rails with this performance. And I loved it.
But not even in a bad way.
No, not in a bad way.
Obviously, we'll get to the end and talk more about it. But,
Yeah.
I mean, that was total role commitment on his part.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was, all the scenes with Lithgow, I never had anything, like you just said, never had anything bad to say. I was like,
And I
wow.
love that they made him sort of Italian so he could
Yes.
screw up English as well.
Yeah,
And he's-
exactly.
But he was almost smart enough to know the quotes,
Yeah.
but not quite.
Yeah.
Apparently, Peter Weller couldn't keep a straight face during the electrocution scenes where he's torturing.
That was
because
terrible.
It's the first time he'd ever heard what he called his Italian Martian
They've been
accent.
together probably,
That
right?
this is the first scene he does with Lithgow, and he thought the accent was so funny he couldn't keep a straight face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was awful.
How does he get
was
out of
terrible.
this so easy too?
because he's Buckaroo Bonzai. I mean, at this point,
Well, the electric shuts down.
oh, that's
So,
right.
okay.
They kill the
Yeah.
power.
And he
They,
just
they kill the
unplugs
power, and he's just like, sweet, I can remove all of this.
stuff.
And then
Yeah.
he gets free.
So helicopter dad or sofa guy and his kid, and the Perfect Tommy's watch goes off. Classic move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, perfect Tommy. You're supposed to be
You're not so perfect.
Yeah,
What
what,
the-
happened?
And then
Where
then
were
it's
you on
on.
that one, Tommy?
Yeah.
The girl is almost eaten by a space slug, so they've got like this ramp going towards Penny's face,
But wait, don't touch it.
and they're
Yeah.
he just
Yeah. What was that line? He's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
"Just
and there's never
grabs it and throws
there's
it.
never a
Nope.
punishment for touching it or
Nope.
anything. He's
It's
just
still
like-
alive. It's
still alive.
over in the corner.
to this
Nobody
day.
knows.
It's gotten about 2 feet further
It's
than
still
where it
making
was.
its way.
It's still making its way
to the pit.
to the pit, right? It's just creeping along. Somebody should probably get over there and
it
kill
was
it.
going to be a plot point in World Crime.
That's what it is. They're
Yeah,
going to cut back to it at the end of that movie, and it's still going.
going on. And
It's just a little bigger.
It's just a little bigger. They're going to
Maybe-
make 10 movies, and by the 10th movie, it was going to be the big villain at the end of the 10th movie.
Maybe that's what he hit and when the slime on the windshield.
Oh, see?
yeah, maybe.
Perfect.
Space slug.
So Lizardo makes it onto his ship, right? Which I died because as soon as he comes through the hatch, these aliens are wearing like business casual
Yes.
outfits with boxing gloves.
Yeah. Polka dot
Yep, let's just bring
blouses,
all the randomness in. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
The
right
polka
here.
dot blouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
At this point, I had switched and I was here for it, right? I was like, what other random thing
Yeah.
can we throw in here, please?
Yeah.
Well, right before this is this huge like fight scene, and I
Yeah.
so badly because it's as cheesy as it is.
Yeah.
I wanted the Batman bams and bamps.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like it just every time Peter Weller threw a punch, it was like kapow, like just launching him into the air. And then when they get onto the ship, those
Well,
two guys are just there, and they're
I
like,
did think
What's
it was
up?
a nice
yeah.
callback.
Lithgow's like, get out of here.
I thought it was a nice callback to him getting stuck in the wall back in the 30s.
Oh,
So
yes.
The ship couldn't do it, and so it went through the wall in
Yes.
the present day.
Yeah.
they couldn't figure out. I mean,
Figure out how to do the.
he didn't have. Why did he try and take off when he knew he didn't have
Yeah, he didn't.
the stuff? He
they
didn't have the
kept
chip
telling
that
him
they were
Yeah.
that they were
I
missing.
don't- He was in trouble because the Banzai Hong Kong King gang was
Yeah.
coming after.
Well,
And
Rasta-
and when the rug suckers come, you better get out of there.
Yeah, Rasta and
It's true.
Banzai also make it on board before. It's important to know that before they try to launch into the bad guy. Let me start over. Lizardo is trying to launch this giant spaceship towards a wall with his blue laser to go back into the eighth dimension.
Yes.
But he doesn't have the things he needs to do that. And Christopher Lloyd is yelling at him, trying to explain this to him, but he's going anyway.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Rasta and Banzai have also boarded, and they're all hurtling in the spaceship towards this brick wall. But
well, they're in like a pod. They're in like
they're in a pod
separate
within
spaceship
the pod.
Lithgow's
Yes,
spaceship.
right. Correct. Thank you for clarifying
Sure.
that, because that's important.
Thermopod.
John Booty is starting to lose it a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
John Big Booty, Big Booty. He's had it with Lizardo. This was my favorite performance in the movie, was in this scene.
I agree.
Where he's finally lost, when Christopher Lloyd starts flipping him the bird.
Yes.
Right. And he tells him his oscillators for shit. And he's just like, something about Chris Lloyd just going off. It's just always going to be funny to me.
Well, and the whole prefix.
He puts like this meat suit on.
To prefix to Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious that he's like telling him his stuff doesn't work and it's a piece of crap, and he's like, I'm gonna make something better.
That's right. That's right. Well, finally, Lizardo just literally turns around and shoots him.
Yeah.
Which was the saddest thing that happened in the movie. And then the other guy, O'Connor, comes over and puts the meat suit on. So I don't know what that's supposed to be, like a safety suit.
Yeah, I think it's just to keep
takeoff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Giant meat jacket. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, yeah, I'll just do whatever. I'll take whatever you say. This movie,
Which also influenced Lady Gaga with her meat suits.
probably she probably just watched Buckaroo Bonzai before she went to
She
the
was like,
Grammys.
"This is great. I'm doing this
She's like, oh man, get me 30 pounds of meat right now.
right now."
Oh my gosh. How about when the little kid comes around the corner and tells the Secretary of Defense he's going to drink his blood?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was funny.
And then they like have this. He's trying to get. What did the kid have?
He's like, get away from the jet trucker. I'll drink your blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy is trying to get the
Did
gun
he say
off him
or
for
drain?
that.
He said drain your blood.
Drain your blood.
Oh, well,
Maybe it was
I don't know.
I
It
heard
was
drink,
drain.
but
I thought he
maybe
said
it was
drain.
drain. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'll
still,
drain your blood
I was,
because he's gonna put him full of holes. With the,
I guess.
with the assault.
But why
rifle.
is he still part of this thing?
Yeah.
He's rocking it, man.
I don't know.
He's Scooter, man.
He's
He got a
honoring.
Scooter.
It's
As-
like short round.
As you mentioned, they're not able to go into the dimension, so they just crash through the wall, and the spaceship is still apparently flight capable.
Yes.
Because it blasts off into the atmosphere.
Yes.
And it's flying around the sky, and it poops out the little thermopod that Banzai and Rasta are in.
Yes.
Right?
Rasta. Yeah.
It's the Rasta alien.
John Parker.
John Parker.
Whatever.
Thank you, whatever.
Rasta Parker.
John Parker.
And Banzai is able to destroy the ship by firing a gun that's facing the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just figures out, all right, I can do
Who
this.
designs a gun that way? You got to be like, well, I mean,
Wasn't he looking at something?
here's the sound about good.
It's in
He
his
was
hand.
looking back over his shoulder as he's firing.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when he hits it with the
Not
red
really
laser.
a super well thought out.
Not the blue laser. Blue lasers for time travel.
Right.
Red lasers for destroying other ships.
Not
Gotcha.
super well thought out. To have the gunner facing the opposite direction that the gun fires.
Well, and that chair does like a pivot a couple of
that
times.
was cool.
where they-
Oh, that
yeah.
was cool. You want to switch, you pivot around, but still, no matter how many you pivot around, the gun fires the opposite direction.
And he's
that
like,
the
I don't know
gunner
what I'm
is
doing.
facing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever question the logistics of the Millennium Falcon guns?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still
All
don't
the
It's
know.
like the same thing. I don't understand how they're both sitting
What's wrong with them?
Yeah.
Because they go down opposite in New Hope. They go down opposite.
One of them
ladders,
should be upside down.
and one of them should be upside down. Yet they're still firing right side up towards the TIE fighters. Yeah, it's
But space,
I
so
don't
there is
believe
no
you.
upside down in space too. So
yeah,
it's
but
like I don't
maybe
know.
they just could have
How do
oriented it.
lasers travel in space, though? Is that okay then?
I
Is
don't
that-
know.
I don't know. Buckaroo Bonzai designed them, so that's how they
Yeah.
work.
No, that's
Exactly.
true. I forgot about that.
All right, and so then he goes back, and Jeff Goldblum's like, "Sorry, your girlfriend's dead. I did everything I could. I'm a cowboy doctor," and he goes back in there.
Cowboy doctor.
That's what he is. He goes back, and she's got the blanket over. He pulls it off. He basically, at this point, anytime he touches anybody, which we haven't really pointed out, Banzai shocks them because he's been shocked himself originally through the phone. And so they make out in his
Yeah, he
Japanese
goes-
hut
Yep.
and on a bus, and she like shocks her back to life.
Yeah. That kiss
And
was.
then,
Yeah.
no, the weirdest scene of the whole movie.
The end credits?
No. It goes to one of the black lectoids,
Oh, that's right.
and he says, "So what? Big deal." And then it goes to
Yeah.
the walking scene.
Yes.
Yeah, because
And I
I
was
feel like
very
he's
confused.
watching.
Yeah.
I think the aliens were watching
Them make
this
out?
happening. Yeah. And they were like, so what? Big deal.
What does that
looking
imply?
at
I
it.
don't know what that means.
I think he was just
Big deal
because they
that
were.
brought him back to life.
Yeah, the resurrection, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
Got this covered. It wasn't a big deal.
It was a very random line, that's for sure.
I don't know.
Either that or
Strange.
the guy caught the other one watching, and he was like, "What? Big deal. Leave me alone. I'm watching this."
Sometimes I watch them make out, okay?
Yeah.
Weirdo.
But that was
Don't judge me.
That was the head black alien,
Yeah.
right? John Emdale.
Yeah, that
Who was a
that,
female.
Okay, so
Right.
that's one of my
don't
favorite
know.
lines.
that kiss though.
Yeah.
That kiss was electrifying.
Yeah. That's right.
It was quite stimulating.
It was. It was.
Yeah.
I will say that the end credit scene was the most enjoyable scene in the movie to me.
Yeah, was
And I
it?
don't mean that as to say, sometimes we joke like, what was the best part of the movie? The credits when it was over because I hated it so much. I found that incredibly enjoyable when they're walking through the aqueducts
It was fun.
to the music.
It was fun.
I didn't get it.
I think the more movies that could end that way in a fun, like
Yeah.
I always think of like Something About Mary.
Right.
Are you
Right.
talking about when they're walking through the aqueduct?
Yeah.
And he's dressed in the Pee Wee suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like they're like in step
They're
with the
walking
music.
to Uptown Girl.
Yes, well, but that's not what they were able to use. But they were playing Walking to Uptown Girl.
They tried.
But yeah, like movies that do that, I always think is. I mean, you can't. It doesn't fit the tone of every movie. But if you've got a fun tone in the film, and you can end it with a cool, sequence like that,
Sure.
it's always fun. The other one I was thinking of was 40-Year-Old Virgin, where they did the Age of Aquarius at the end of the movie.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Right. And then Build Me Up Buttercup was at the end of Something About Mary, and I'm sure there's other ones too. But I just think, or Shrek when they did I'm a Believer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yep,
man.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Good stuff. End it with a music video. Why not?
Way to tie it back to
Any-
Lord Farquaad.
Oh, or Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, that's another great one.
Yeah.
Right? Just a big, like,
Just
just
a
end it
giant
with a
dance number with
why
the whole
not?
cast. Why not?
Why not
Which
do
has
it?
nothing to do with the actual movie of Slumdog Millionaire.
It shouldn't have to.
No.
Right.
They just cut into the Jai-Ho
Let's
song
just
and
have
the
some
whole
fun.
cast
I
is
heard.
dancing.
I heard. Buckaroo Bonzai got a MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss for that. Too.
Did he?
Didn't he?
I don't know. Maybe.
Just thinking.
Well, I'm shocked by that one.
Oh,
All right.
here
Well,
we go.
before it gets any further, guys, it's now time that we've finished the film to go back. If there's anything in your notes that you didn't get to cover, things that you might have noticed, we talk about the little things.
I just want to know. So you said that's your favorite line, or one of your favorite lines at the end
Which
there?
one? I don't know about favorite.
Well,
Most confused.
oh, those are the most confused line.
I've got a favorite line. I've got a few favorite lines.
Yeah. So the so what big deal is like that's like the send off line of the movie,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And it's just this random cutaway, fade, dissolve. So what big deal? Fades, dissolves back, pans out the window. That's the end of the movie.
Right.
Well, and then it says stay
Essentially.
tuned for more.
Right.
Then immediately, right, you get that.
Because I feel like there was supposed to be a sequel, but probably never going to happen.
But
because of
what do you make of that?
I don't know.
No?
I think. I don't know.
This whole movie happens. The
So what? Big deal.
whole movie happens.
I think that's
as-
a statement of this movie's so what? Big
I
deal.
don't.
Hang on.
So what?
Are you going to propose a theory?
No, I'm curious to know people's thoughts on it because I was equally as confused. Unless it's like the final non sequitur of the screenplay.
It didn't. Well, you didn't need it,
Yeah,
and it didn't make sense to the scene.
Yeah. Unless they're trying to imply that the aliens, like, they entertain themselves by pulling the strings and messing with us, and that this whole thing was orchestrated, to see what would happen. And maybe he lost a bet with the other alien at the other high chair, right? And he's like,
Yeah,
well, whatever, so what? And on to the next group of people we're going to mess with. I don't
Very
know.
odd.
that's actually not a bad theory. I like that. It's like
But
it's like the ending of Men in Black.
if
Yeah,
you're gonna
right?
do
We just
that-
all find out we're all in these little galaxies that aliens are playing ping pong with.
Yeah, maybe.
Except that worked in Men in Black because we understood it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not saying that it's executed well if that is indeed the case. Right? If that is
Can
indeed
I
the
give you a
case.
couple of my favorite lines?
Yeah, so give me some of the little things you
All
loved.
right. Widmark, this is like halfway through, maybe a little more. He says, Buckaroo, I don't know what to say. Lectoids, Planet 10, nuclear extortion, a girl named John.
Yep.
That was a good one.
Yep.
That was a good one.
And, okay, so here's another really weird quote. He makes a quote at the end of his speech, right? When he says, where is it? Oh, I lost it. Someone else can talk to us.
That's right. Did anybody else have one?
No, I've actually mentioned most of mine throughout the podcast.
Really, the most enduring line is, "Why is there a watermelon on that?"
It was the one that,
was a
was
good line.
spoke to the heart of the movie.
Yes.
Well, and
Why anything, really?
that
I think
spinny toy and the
and
alien falls.
That's
off.
what I'm saying.
I felt like that was supposed to be like a drop scare.
Was it?
No pun intended.
Yeah.
But I mean, it spun around, and then all of a sudden, the guy just drops out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
So the other quote is, and this is super obscure, right? At the end of Warfin's speech, he says, "Character is what you are in the dark." It's a misquote from the 19th century evangelist Dwight L. Moody. I went 2 years to the Moody Bible Institute, the school he founded.
Yeah.
The actual quote is, "Character is what you think in the dark."
Oh.
So why in the world would you quote him?
Well, I think it was a running gag in that he constantly would say famous things that Americans or not Americans, but humans had said, but get it kind of wrong.
But no one knew any
Like,
of those quotes.
Pursue him without a quarter, right? Instead of like
Yes.
with
Without,
with no quarter or whatever it is.
Right.
So that was kind of a character
running gag.
A running gag.
It
For him
was,
that
but I
wasn't
feel
done
like
really
the
well.
problem was a lot of them were more like Dwight L. Moody's quote than
Right.
pursue him without a quarter. Because everyone
Right.
could get it should be without quarter. Or
Yes,
without,
right.
but
Exactly.
no one, I mean, I went to the school.
Right. Now a lot of people are going to know that one.
That quote.
I'm going to
So-
tell you, I knew none of the quotes.
Yeah. Well,
There you
right.
go.
That's the
Yeah.
problem, right?
So what is the actual Dwight L. Moody quote?
The
Characters
actual
who you think was what you think in the dark.
characters,
Characters what you think in the dark.
Yeah.
And Warfin says characters what you
Are
in the
do
dark.
and-
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, as we always do every episode, we have got to give this, every movie deserves some sort of award.
Wait, I didn't
And-
give my big point.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
let's do it.
So it's the scene with the president, the general's there, the lady's there. I don't know who she is, like press secretary or something. And the general says
They
this.
do say who it is.
This is where the movie came together for me and fell apart.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And this is like 3/4 of the way through, maybe even more. All right? The general says, "Mr. President, I am a soldier, and I am a damn good one. I've got enough decorations to snap a Christmas tree. All I'm trying to say is, and I hope I speak for everyone in this room, that I am scared. I'm barely holding my fudge right now." And then the woman says, "Stop acting like a goddamn schoolgirl, General, and pull yourself together." And then the president says, "I'm glad someone has the balls to face facts." Cut to a new scene. At this moment, I realize what we're watching is Naked Gun Airplane. That type of movie, right?
Yeah.
Because that's so over the top.
It is.
It's such a parody of
Yes.
those sort of moments. The problem is, and this is where the movie falls apart, is what in the world are they parodying?
They're not. That's the problem.
And this is the problem, right? So you don't, at that point, then I realized, I should go back and watch this movie from the beginning with this attitude, and I might be able to enjoy it and make sense of what's going on. Because, but this doesn't work if you don't have that analog up with which to make the parody.
Well, perhaps it's just parody for parody's own sake.
Yes, I think I read one comment review, and they said it's like all the actors are in on the joke, but no one knows what it is.
That's a perfect
And
description.
I feel like that's very much what happened.
There's definitely clearly a joke happening here.
Yes.
And I just don't feel like I'm in. It's like an inside joke when you don't know.
Yes.
You're not part of the group.
My thing is I feel like the movie itself
Yeah.
makes fun of tropes.
Does
Right.
it?
Right.
And I feel like it definitely holds its own on this is what happens in action movies. This is what happens during this point. This is a funny line. This is this.
Yeah.
And I feel like it almost plays on that throughout the movie.
Yeah. The problem is just not a lot of action actually happening in the movie.
Well, I think, again, like you said, it's a first-time director, so I wonder if maybe he wanted it to be but didn't know how to present that to us.
Maybe.
I think from the filmmaking standpoint, that's where the movie is the weakest.
Yeah.
Is just that where, I mean, I would love to see a remake of this movie today.
Thank you.
With a director that actually knows what they're doing.
Why don't we remake bad movies? We only take the good ones, and we're like, well, let's remake these movies that are
Because it
already
made
perfect.
$6
And made
million.
money,
Right, but if you took a movie that's now, a cult classic or whatever, there is a fan base for Buckaroo Bonzai.
Yes.
Or any of these other bad movies, maybe they don't even have a fan base, and you're like, let's take another crack at this one because this might have been good if executed correctly.
Yeah.
Right? But
I don't know.
that's what they
That-
should be remaking is bad movies.
The thing to speak on that is like, yes, like I would totally be all over a remake of Surfer Nazis Must Die.
Yeah.
Like if
Is that a real
if,
movie?
Yes, Surfer Nazis Must Die is an absolute terrible movie.
Is it as bad as Mr. No Legs?
That's another one they could easily remake.
And
it would be so good.
Right?
Rocket thrusters on the
man.
chair.
Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
and you see Robert Rodriguez kind of pay homage to Mr. No Legs, obviously with Planet Terror and Cherry Darling's assault rifle leg. Like, but like you accept it in Grindhouse in Planet Terror, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's an awesome thing.
Well, because they established immediately the tone of what it is that they're doing, and I don't know how to take this movie until halfway through it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest the tonality confusion of Buckaroo is the biggest downfall
I
of
would
it.
agree.
Yeah,
And that's why for me, like I said, that scene with the president, I finally realized, oh, they're doing a parody.
yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't know what in the world they're parodying though. So it wasn't all of the jokes and stuff fell flat for me to a certain degree because you're like, I'm just mostly confused as what's happening.
Well, let's get to our awards, guys. We got to give some awards out to this movie as we do to all of our films, and we always start with the Will Patton Award for Intensity. And I want to say a little thing about this award because recently I've had to revisit past episodes as we've been pulling clips, and now we've got our TikTok page going, which has been going strong. We just hit 22,000 followers yesterday, so I'm having to go back and pull some old clips out for that. And I think I did, and I'll take the blame for this, I did a disservice for not properly explaining in the first 20 episodes or so exactly what the Will Patton Award is. And so if you've been a listener of the podcast from the beginning, you might be confused as to how that's morphed and evolved. But the point of it has always been the Will Patton Award for Intensity. Not necessarily an acting award, like, oh, this person gave a great performance, so I'm going to give it to them. It's a play on the fact that Will Patton, no matter what movie he's in, no matter what type of part he's playing, no matter if he's doing something like making breakfast for his kid or leading a charge of soldiers, across a field of battle, he plays it with the same amount of intensity. And so this is an award for the actor in the film, big part or small part, that was the most intense, not necessarily good or bad, but just the most intense in their performance regardless of what was happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I just thought it was important for me to reframe it for the listeners because I know it's kind of been all over the board, but going forward, that's the most clear definition I could give for it.
Not that I want to get deep in the woods, but I still have not seen a Will Patton movie.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
You've seen The Punisher
Which one? The original?
with Tom
The
Jane.
Thomas Jane one?
What's he in that one?
He's Travolta's right-hand man.
I don't remember.
What?
I have seen him then, though.
Did you see Armageddon?
Way to bring that.
Who he
No,
frames?
I've not seen
he's-
Armageddon.
He's actually the gay man, but
He's also
Punisher frames-
homophobic.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Well,
he's-
thank you, though. I have seen him, though. Thank you.
You've seen Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yes.
You've
He's
seen him in
Gone
there too?
60 Seconds.
Oh, man. I
Seen
don't
Remember
know
the
who
Titans?
he is. I got to figure that
Remember
out.
the Titans.
Never seen
Okay.
Remember the
Oh,
Titans.
okay.
Sorry.
I guess he's just that much of a chameleon.
I guess.
But also
Man,
that
I'm going to have to watch it.
Well, who are we going to give his award to? So when you look at this movie, for me, I'd have to give the Will Patton Award, or I nominate John Lithgow. I think he was just ratcheted up no matter what was happening in every single scene he's in. That's my opinion. But what do you guys think as far as yours nominations go?
I second that.
Okay.
I feel like he just was enough over the top that, and this is actually the one role other than Farquaad that I really, really, really like him in.
Okay.
I thrice that.
Ooh.
Because Lithgow, total role commitment to being completely insane, but never over the top.
Right.
I mean, over the top in the sense that it's just automatically over the top.
Yes.
But never in a sense, your
He
criticism.
didn't overdo it.
Like John Travolta in Broken Arrow. And
Yeah.
you criticized John Travolta.
It was
for that.
forced.
Yes. Where I looked at Lithgow, I was like, wow, he was just pitch perfect for that role.
Yeah.
It's believable.
Yes.
That's the thing is acting. Good acting is telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so when you can see the wheels turning, when you can see the acting, when you can see that they're really forcing and trying to do this, as opposed to where it seems natural and believable, and yeah, he's over the top, but it seems true for the person that he's doing.
Right. It's taking the concept, because scene chewing is obviously a concept in acting. It's not just something that we criticize. Oh, he's a chewing scenery. Like it's something that's actually taught is scene chewing.
Right.
And when you look at bad scene chewing, like you said, Travolta in Broken Arrow, who just has these very random. I mean, I love Broken Arrow, but Yeah, I'll admit I agree with you on Travolta being.
Oh, it's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah,
but he's trying way too hard.
Yeah, but then you have scene chewing in this sense of Lithgow, who completely owns every scene, every word that comes out of his mouth, he owns it.
Yeah.
Even the random parts, like when he electrocutes the Buckaroo Bonzai video game when he's leaving the asylum.
Yes.
And then does that creepy run down the hallway. It's
right. That's good.
It was just absolutely enjoyable.
Who's your Will Patton nominee?
I'm going to go with, how does it relate to acting?
How does it relate to
Can
acting?
you have the same person be in both?
Sure. It's just who you felt was most intense.
I would go with Lithgow, too.
Okay.
Sweet. With Lloyd a close second.
He was also very, very committed and intense in his role as well, but I just feel like Lithgow was...
I don't think you can go
past him there.
No.
All right, well, unanimous then. John Lithgow wins the Will Patton Award for Intensity for Buckaroo Bonzai.
And rightfully so.
The next award is an acting award, but it is a lack of acting award. And so our Trash Can Full of Dirt award goes to the person who gave the worst performance. This is named after, and Curt is actually the one that started this award.
Well, you and I both.
By praising the performance of Andy Griffith in Spy Hard, and who we said was had no more talent than a trash can full of dirt. At least in that movie. And so, his performance, that's another great example. Big and over the top. It's not like he had the personality of a jar of dirt. He was very, very big. But it was just so horrible.
No, and you're right. But in my sense, and to defend that again, it was so horrible that I loved it.
Okay, all right. Well, we're not going to crack that nut open again for a second time.
He's got an award now.
He does.
So he lives on through this podcast.
So your Trash Can Full of Dirt award winner, who gave the absolute worst performance in the movie?
Worst performance in the movie.
And if you guys have one ready, go for it.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller with the Trash Can Full of Dirt.
No way.
Ryan with the flying elbow off the top rope right onto Robocop. I love it.
Yep.
I don't disagree. I mean, I have somebody else, but I almost did that.
Look, the movie is called The Adventures of Buckaroo Bonzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Yes.
We have this opening crawl that establishes Buckaroo Bonzai as this multifaceted, Ptolemaic, epic character.
Yes.
Who the entire world knows him and loves him.
Yes.
And Peter Weller just walks in like...
No personality at all.
No personality at all. None. He sucks at singing. He the band, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, sucks as a band. I mean, the club scene was fun in a sense of like, all right,
I don't know. His trumpet playing was pretty good.
Yes, his fake trumpet playing.
But
his fake.
He really held it up to his mouth perfectly.
His fake guitar solo, in which he's, the music coming through is not at all
everybody's
reflective
Michael J.
of
Fox.
where his hands are going on the guitar.
But you're in an insane movie filled with colorful personalities and an insane villain, and you can't even rise up to level. What a great opportunity to make a memorable character.
Right. You can't rise to any. And especially, this is the first time I saw this. Mm-hmm. I saw Robocop, 20 years ago, 25, whatever. Always loved Robocop.
Yeah.
Peter Weller's, he's in a movie called Of Unknown Origins. Has anyone seen that one?
No.
It's a thriller that was, I think.
Does he play a robot in that one too?
No. Just
I'm
plays
I wonder if he's so good at Robocop because he's so robotic in his performances.
Right. No, he plays just a normal everyday guy who's losing his mind. And he does a great job in this movie called Of Unknown Origins.
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, Peter. Oh, he's in Leviathan.
He's in Leviathan.
Yeah. I'm just.
The deuce, you say.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Who's your winner?
I love Robocop.
Me too.
This
isn't a reflection on Robocop.
Made me want to see this movie.
Yeah.
And I love Peter Weller in Robocop. He's my go-to for Mortal Kombat 11 right now.
Oh, yeah, great.
Right.
Love playing as him. And he voices that.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
But I have to agree with Ryan. Unfortunately, he gets my trash can full
He
of dirt
could have
award.
done so much with this character.
Absolutely.
There was even the scene that he's being tortured, and you were saying how Peter Weller couldn't keep a straight face. That is apparent because it's like they initiate the electricity. He's just like, and he does nothing with his eyes.
No.
His eyes never change.
He was more He was more robotic in this movie than actually was in RoboCop.
So, did you know that this role is almost played by Tom Hanks and Michael Keaton? Were both considered for this part.
Oh, let's remake it.
Could you
with
imagine if of those two, Michael Keaton would have done with this character? He would have been as insane as Lizardo, probably, but in a different way.
Yeah. Michael Keaton would have won an Oscar in the 80s.
Oh, I wish
he played Buckaroo
somewhere.
Bonzai.
If there's parallel dimensions and parallel universes, somewhere Michael Keaton did play this part. If you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you know somewhere out there's the Michael Keaton version of this movie.
Gosh,
and I want to see it.
That really,
it'd be incredible.
You know, with the de-aging software that they have now, I think we should start.
You said you want to remake it.
Look, yes, I will do it. I will direct the remake. Don't even need to rewrite the screenplay. Just take the original screenplay from Earl.
And you'll already do better than W.D. Richter because you'll know to get more coverage than just a master shot of some
absolutely.
Scenes.
And I'll know not get a DP that I'm going to keep the entire movie.
All right, who's your winner of the trash can full of dirt?
I was going to say Penny, but you guys convinced me Weller probably. I think you're right about him because I was trying to think about like what didn't hold for the movie, and you're probably right that if he had been more charismatic, you would have bought Banzai as the equal to Lithgow.
Yes.
Yeah, so I also went with Penny.
That could be where you flatten out, but I thought Penny was pretty bad too.
I did. So I went with Penny, even though I think I'm just going to jump on the Peter Weller train here because you're absolutely right. I ultimately went with Penny just because I think Ellen Barkin's performance is terrible in this movie.
With the huffing and sexualization and of just everything.
And just served almost no purpose. And she just didn't do well. And I've liked her in other stuff, so this isn't personal. But she was both. So those are the main two characters.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be the hero and the hero's love interest.
Right? I was really waiting.
They're terrible.
Yeah. I was really waiting at the end for her to like play it more sexy too, and just be like, "Can I see your ovary thruster?"
Oh my gosh, that would have been great.
She's terrible.
That would have been a great line.
But all right, really, it's like as a trash can full of dirt, at least Ellen Barkin is attractive.
Yeah.
And
she's
I wouldn't want to look at a trash can full of dirt making out with Peter Weller.
So we're running short on time here, guys. But since we're running short on time, we usually do our top three performers, but let's just go around the table and just give me your top one or two, just who you thought, because in this case, there's a huge cast of people. But who do you think gave your favorite couple of performances in the movie?
Here's my quick three. Ready? Yeah. Goldblum, number 3.
Okay.
Christopher Lloyd, number 2.
Okay.
And Lithgow, number 1.
Lithgow, number 1. Ryan?
Same thing.
Same?
Yeah, no, Lithgow owned the movie. Goldblum really kept the ridiculous material together. He was one of the only, when it came to the ridiculous material, I mean, I believe Jeff Goldblum every time.
Oh, sure.
When it comes to anything ridiculous. So
and even what if Goldblum had been Banzai?
Yeah, actually,
he could have totally done it.
That even would have been also better than Peter Weller.
Absolutely. How about you?
Lithgow, Lloyd, and then I liked Rawhide.
Rawhide.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown was up there too.
Like when he does his role, he's got that calm but strong.
No, I believed every word came out of his mouth.
Yeah,
he was very natural and effortless.
So disappointed when his character got killed because I was like, oh, he was the one of the Hong Kong Cavaliers that I was really into. And
he was one of the only ones. There were 3 or 4 of them that are in the whole movie, and I don't even know who they are or their names or what they did or anything. Yeah, they could have cut 3 of those guys out of the movie.
And it wouldn't have mattered. The death scene, properly.
There's people in the end credit scene. They're doing the walk,
like,
right? And they're like, they show the guy's face. I'm like, who's that?
Oh yeah, he was in the computer lab.
Was he in this movie? There's like 3 of those guys.
He was an extra,
right?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. But so I'll not say much more than what you guys said. Other than that, I agree that Clancy Brown and Lithgow and those guys were all great. Goldblum was great, but actually had Christopher Lloyd number 1. I don't know if he gave the best performance, but he gave the performance I enjoyed the most.
Yeah. You know, that's why he made your number 1.
That's why I made my number 1, because it just he cracked me up, man.
He was funny.
He's great.
He did. He owned everything he did too. So that was what it came down to.
I do think this is yet example number, I don't know what episode this is, 44 or something at this point. I think this is the 44th example of a movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger would absolutely make better. I think he can't, again, the argument is...
Where would you put him?
I don't think he could play Banzai.
No.
Okay, because...
He could have played Perfect Tommy.
Yeah, he could play Perfect Tommy. He would have been great as Perfect Tommy. I mean, the guy's got no shirt on the whole movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, he could have played just an awesome member Like, replace any of those other Hong Kong Cavalier guys that did almost nothing.
Yeah.
And put him in there, and the movie's better.
Yeah.
President in Traction.
I think I would have gotten rid of the two aliens that went around with Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
And replaced Arnold Schwarzenegger as those two.
Even him as an alien
to
would have
see
been great.
him with Christopher Lloyd, I think would have been great.
Yeah.
So, is this movie, now that we've kicked and prodded and poked and cut it open and examined its insides, we have to make the determination. And this whole thing, I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to say here, because usually I know by now. But we have to make the determination. Is this a bad movie, full stop? Is it a bad movie that rules and is enjoyable, but it's still clearly a bad movie? Or is it a straight up good movie? Curt, as you stand here now, where would you place? I think this might be one of the most difficult movies we've done to do this exercise specifically. Where would you put it?
I would agree with that.
So I, by far, am a huge fan of bad movies. Always have been.
Sure.
Part of the reason when you and I started talking about this podcast, I was like, I'm in 100%.
Yeah.
Given that, I've talked numerous times about how much we've watched certain movies that I've never seen before, and they usually go on this list. I'm not going to lie. I think this is a bad movie that rules.
Okay. I kind of got that sense from you
The
throughout.
reason why is because it reminds me of Fifth Element mixed with Mars Attacks.
Okay.
That's kind of how I feel the movie worked out for me.
You just named two movies I'd rather watch.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It kind of has that flavor and feel.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
I think if it had a better director, I think it would have been a good movie.
That's probably one of the biggest detriments is in the three most important spots. The lead actor, the lead actor's love interest, and director. You have three people that basically failed at their jobs.
Yeah, 100%.
And yet, even beyond that, the movie still almost overcomes what should be not overcomable.
Right. No, I agree.
And it's almost still enjoyable. So imagine if you just had slightly better performances from the director in those first two, what this movie could have been.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ryan?
I mean, the three choices on the table are very tough on this one. Because I don't want to call it a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's does have shortcomings for sure.
Yeah.
Like W.D. Richter. I don't want to say he did a bad job because I think for the first.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, I don't want to just he did a terrible job. Like he did. He most definitely had shortcomings. Mm-hmm. But from the opening of the crawl, sure, the crawl could have been a little more detailed. But I like the crawl, and I like how it establishes, and then it kind of goes into that panning shot across the sandbags and, pans into the experiment. Like, it was a good build-up to this rocket car experiment. Mm-hmm. So I think he showed promise to have pacing, but then just was never able to actually execute it.
Yeah.
And, like, Peter Weller, that was a bad choice. It just it was
so you basically agree with James and I.
But
You're still going to call it a bad movie that rules?
I guess I didn't really say what I.
I guess.
So,
Yeah.
But I will say that I was on the fence of calling this just a full
you
stop.
haven't heard me talk yet.
Full stop bad movie. Well, we're gonna get to you.
I know, but don't say yours yet because I think I can convince you.
You can convince me. Okay, well then we'll wait. So do you know where you're at, Ryan?
I don't know where I'm at. I'm very confused.
Well, let's go to Charles.
It's a bad movie because it's a bad movie. It's a parody of itself, and that cannot exist or work.
Interesting.
You think a parody of itself cannot exist or work?
A parody is usually a parody of something else.
Yeah,
right?
but
in this case, he's a parody of
If you
itself.
can't figure out the movie till 3/4 or almost when it's done, what's happening? It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean. I will say this. I think I'm not going to do this. If I was to watch it again, I might move it into rules, but it would be very difficult for it to move up.
Yeah, I think I hear you.
Because even the quotes and stuff are like, they're not even that funny.
They're not.
No, they're not.
They're too hidden. They're too subtle. They're too parody of itself.
I don't know what to do because I think my mind is telling me it's just full stop a bad movie. But there's so much random
something about it.
There's so much random crap that is funny to me. So it's almost funny how bad it is, and so does that make
it some weird movies,
funny?
right?
But here's the thing: you said you may watch it again. So if you're gonna watch it again, then it's not that bad of a movie.
I won't watch it again.
You said if I were to watch it again,
that's a huge if, capital if.
I'm just saying. I would
I
watch
love
this
some
movie
weird
again.
stuff like Mystery Men. I love Mystery Men, and that movie.
All right.
But Mystery Men is cohesive.
I've never
That's
seen
the
you
problem. It's
so
a good
distraught
movie.
on
It's a
whether it's
bad
a good movie or
movie.
not.
I know.
Mystery Men is it's. Like
I
when
don't
you
know
guys
what to
did
do.
Mystery,
I
when you guys
like
did Mystery
Peter
Men, I was like,
Sellers
why?
movies. I
Mystery
like-
Men's a great movie.
No,
I
it's
like
not.
the
That movie's
party.
terrible.
I like
Mystery Men's a
all of
great
these
movie.
I hate it.
agree with
movies.
Ryan, sorry.
This movie is too weird, and it is bad.
I hated Mystery Men.
You really hated Mystery
did.
Men that bad?
It's one of my favorite
Men
Pee Wee
is one
Herman
of the
roles.
best. That is a good, awesome movie.
Yeah.
did.
And it
Straight
is
up good
exactly
movie.
why it's good. It is a beautiful and awesomely done parody of a superhero movie well before its time.
Yes.
And it nails it.
Okay.
And it was cohesive.
I can't go down into the weeds on Mystery Men when I still haven't figured out if this is a bad movie or not.
But I'm telling you, that's why I think it's bad. It's a parody of itself.
Listen,
it can't
if
exist. It can't
we've
work.
got to wrap this
let me-
up, so if you're
I just wanted to throw it like, have
Quick,
you seen the
quick.
movie Mulholland Drive?
Probably, but
It was like it's not David Lynch's opus, nominated for Best Director.
it's actually a remake of Buckaroo Bonzai.
Yeah, it very well could be because that's the same thing where it's like David Lynch is the only person that knows what the movie's actually about.
Right.
So why is it fair that then okay, well let's give him a nomination for Best Director and it's hailed as one of the
because
best
he's-
movies?
Because it's actually a well-made movie, and this is a pile of
you
crap.
have to say it's bad. Then, 'cause
Mulholland
it's totally
Drive is a
bad.
better made movie with a screenplay that's worse than Buckaroo Banzai.
Because you trust.
You can't
David
drop something like that when we're already like trying to get out the door and you're going to
trust
start an argument
You trust that
about
David
whether or not.
Lynch actually knows something.
That's just
You
the-
can't-
We're gonna pull up like
It can't put
W.D.
these people-
Richter against David Lynch
That's
and
a
try and say I'm
bad
going to put them on an
movie.
equal footing.
Hence, it's a bad.
That is a travesty of I will not stand for.
Well,
Sounds like Ryan's saying this
let's
movie
give the
rules.
guy another $20 and we'll stay for another hour.
Ryan, I'm pressing you. Does this rule or not?
I like Buckaroo Bonzai.
That's a rule as far as I'm concerned.
It's not.
Are you going to watch it again? Would you watch it again?
I told you I would remake this movie.
Then
Well, then I'm just going to say it's just a bad movie. Full stop.
All right, finally.
I can't. I can't.
I would remake this movie and I would do it.
That
better
doesn't
than
mean
David Lynch.
there weren't. Oh my God, we have to get out of here. It doesn't mean there wasn't things about it I enjoyed, but I can't say that it was. I can't say it ruled. I can't.
No,
I just can't.
It's a bad movie.
All right, boys.
Twice.
The next episode, this next movie's got to be better. It's got to be better.
What is the next?
Well, we're talking about, because we're in the middle of the Olympics, at least at the time that we're recording this. By the time this comes out, probably won't be the case anymore. But we are going to be discussing it's a movie about the Olympics and an Olympic athlete. It's called Pentathlon, starring Dolph Lundgren. Have you ever seen it, Ryan?
I have not.
Okay. Well, he's an Olympic athlete, but he's got a gun and he's Dolph Lundgren.
Nice.
And that's about all I know.
That's
Is
all you need to know.
the game called Run and Gun?
That's
I
the
don't know.
trailer right there.
I was hoping you were going to say Blades of Glory.
Dolph Lundgren. No, that's not a movie. Like, how do you even make fun of Blades of Glory when it's making fun of itself? Well, it's like the Spy Hard rule. We can't do another movie like that.
We just made fun of Buckaroo Bonzai for making fun of itself.
It wasn't making fun of itself, though.
Oh,
It was trying. It's right. It doesn't exist.
maybe it was dry.
Thank you so much for listening. If you have
Thank
stuck,
you for joining us in the 8th dimension.
if you have stuck with us for this entire time, 1, thank you. 2, what is wrong with you?
Send the emails.
Send us an email.
This show is trash
I've
at
got a major
gmail.com.
headache
That's right.
now from this.
I need to know. I've never been so distraught over whether or not to say a movie was bad or good or bad that
made
ruled.
the right choice.
I don't know if I made the right choice. So I want to hear from our listeners.
This from the guy that's wearing a bow tie.
Please
Doing the
email the
part.
show. Email at thisshowIstrash@gmail.com and let me know if I'm wrong. If I think most people are going to disagree with me. I looked at a couple videos on YouTube of Buckaroo Bonzai and I don't know, I lost count of how many comments of this is the greatest movie of all time.
People just want to be cool.
Is a people. Like, they love it.
That's
Okay.
true.
They
People
wanna-
just
do
wanna
wanna
be
be
wanna
cool.
pick
So-
stuff out
They
and
want to
look
be part of the
cool.
cult of the weird
I guess.
Buckaroo Bonzai.
It's a bad movie.
In the meantime, we appreciate you for being part of the cult of bad movies rule. Thank you for listening. For Curt Mummer, Ryan Farrell, and Charles Huyett, I'm James Hauser. Thank you for listening. We are 30 seconds away from 2 hours.
I'm just really jealous because he pulls off a bow tie and I can't.
I have such
Charles?
a headache right
Yeah,
He does.
He's a handsome fella.
Look at this guy. I could, if I put on a bow tie, I'd look like a sea sausage.